Matt, let me ask you something. Who is the best Pearl Jam cover band that did a special Halloween show at Five Towns College back in 2006 or 2007? Who's the best?
Ooh.
Do you know the answer?
I think I know the answer. I'm going to go with the best one-off Pearl Jam band ever, and they went by the name Hail Hail, and I think that was you and me.
It was us. That's right.
Yeah.
How did you get that? That's, oh my God. How did you remember?
It was half lucky guess, half memory. I don't know. No, of course I remember that. How could I forget that?
That was a fun time in both of our lives. So the story for all of you, because I'm sure none of you listening know the story. Why would you? Back in, I guess it was 06 or 07. That sound right? Yeah, around then?
I would say 06 is, yeah, that's got to be right. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's right at my, like, beginning to be obsessive with Pearl Jam time in my life.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I don't think my hair was really long yet, and that was around 2007. So I'd say like 2006.
I don't remember your hair. Casey had short hair because Casey always has short hair.
Yeah, well, his hair's long now too.
Oh, is it? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Casey in forever. Casey was.
I know.
Casey was our Mike. You were our Stone, and I was our Eddie.
Yeah. Well, I would just play bass parts on an acoustic guitar as well. So it was kind of a split.
So you were Jeff as if he were to play Smile all the time.
Yeah, or like if Stone got really sick or something.
So who would play bass in that?
Well,
Matt would play bass.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's more like just Jeff.
They probably have a sound tech.
Yeah, like Jeff just playing bass on guitar. This makes no sense. I'm trying to make sense of it, but
no, it doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't think the band made much sense, but it's okay.
No, we were the only band that didn't have like a full. We were acoustic. It was a typical Halloween. So Halloween cover other bands. I think somebody did Bob Dylan and somebody did Madonna.
During that time, there was probably like a My Chemical Romance band too.
I can't remember who headlined. I really can't. I put the whole thing together too. That was the only reason why we were able to do it.
Yeah, we also, we jammed one time for it just to make sure we all knew the songs, and then we played. It wasn't a big deal.
We were sitting in the computer lab. Playing.
That is 100% accurate.
Yeah. So do you remember what we played? Do you remember our set list?
I feel like I remember parts of the set list. I think we did Hail Hail, right?
Well, we did. Yeah, we did it in a medley. I think
it was
our medley was like Corduroy into Hail Hail into Do the Evolution into Baba.
I think we did.
We definitely did Baba. Yeah,
for sure.
But was there one more in there?
I mean, Casey's the guitar player in my band now. I've known Casey since 2004. We've been playing Better Man for a really long time. It might have been Better Man.
No, we played Better Man. That was our second song.
Oh, so
we played Better Man second and close with Live.
Okay, so you said Better Man in there, so that was already in there.
No, not in the medley. Better Man wasn't in the medley.
I'm sorry. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Then you know what? I don't remember.
I want to say that, like, at first, like the first to open before going into Corduroy, I think Casey played the riff of I Am Mine. Do you remember that?
I don't, but it sounds like it's probably what happened. Yeah.
Whenever we kind of take this stroll back, I always seem to remember the little details, and I always have to remind you of what happened.
It's true. I remember, I'll remember day, time. I'll remember if it was raining or if it was cold. But then you get down to who was there? And I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, I remember this day. I remember we were sitting in the little semicircle, everyone watching. It was a chilly day. It was a little overcast on the island in Deer Park. Not bad. But then you asked me about what songs we played. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't remember the weather, but I remember what I was wearing. I think I grew my beard out enough to be a grizzled type Eddie.
Sounds about right.
And I was wearing a blue flannel shirt and a like a knitted skull hat for whatever reason. I don't think I've ever seen Eddie wear something like that, but um, that it was a one time only until we decide to bring it back. Maybe we should do it like a charity show. Bring it back.
Yeah, and what we could do is we could just have whoever wants to come jam, and basically any Pearl Jam song or any cover song or any song from a band that Pearl Jam covers, it'll be all up for grabs. It'll be all on the table.
Buckley said he would do it.
Oh, of course, Buckley will do it.
We just need a drummer. That's always the biggest problem. Can we call Like Matt Chamberlain or something? Is he busy? Doing Kanye stuff?
He's probably he's with Kanye and like the I don't know. He's with like 1,000 people, but
yeah. Dave Crusen's probably more free.
Yeah.
Anyway, happy early Halloween if you're listening to this on the debut, and let's get to the intro.
And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Fucking camera in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Welcome back, everybody, as we get to our show. This is our 8th episode of Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience. It's Randy Sobel and Matt Helbig here.
What's up?
And unfortunately, we had a last-minute change. We were supposed to be 6 legs today, but have to go back to the OG, the OG from like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
show.
You make it sound like we've been around for like 10 years. Like, we got to go back to how it was.
It sure as hell feels like it. We've been so busy with it.
It does. Well, yeah, we're keeping it going, so that's all that matters.
Exactly, and we have lots of good ideas for the future too.
I like feeling busy with it.
Yeah, it gives it's a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, once you get it out and you start listening to it, it's like, I did that. We did that. We put that together, and it's nice. We just hope everyone else feels the same way.
Yes, we'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
But what I like is I like my family members and my future sister-in-law. She stayed with us this weekend, and she asked me. She gave me the smile. Randy, how's the podcast going? I'm like, oh, you want me to talk about the podcast? I will talk about the podcast. I love the podcast. And I kept going on, and I found a way to stop myself because I don't think family members that was just hey, it's going pretty good. Oh, okay, good. Glad to hear.
What you got to say is, I could talk about the podcast, or you could go listen to the podcast.
You can just listen to it. No, I don't think that Danielle would be into that. She's into Sarah McLachlan and Josh Groban and stuff like that.
Okay.
She's not. I mean, she can be convinced, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, not to say anything bad about Josh Groban. He's just a different artist.
Very different.
Little different, little different.
Not to say you can't like Pearl Jam and Josh Groban, because Jillian loves Josh Groban, and she has, 3 years ago when we met, she got into Pearl Jam too, so it can happen.
There you go.
I'm not really into Josh Groban.
I like Josh Groban when he cameoed on The Office as Andy's brother. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, you know what? This is going to sound bad. I think I thought that was Andy Samberg for some reason.
Well, yeah, he had the beard and the longer hair.
Yep, I told you that was going to sound bad.
That is funny.
Well.
No. I understand. Like, if you haven't seen it in a while and you think back and you were like, wasn't it? I think that was Andy Samberg. I understand. I get it.
Because he makes the same kind of guest appearances everywhere too.
He just pops
up. Exactly. Even in his own show when they were doing what was the cop show that got canceled on Fox?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I keep wanting to say Reno 911, but yeah, I know that
both great shows. Both are great shows.
Yes. Yeah, what I think we failed to mention here was Steve was supposed to be on the podcast today, and unfortunately had to cancel on us. He had a family emergency. Everything's going to be okay, but tonight just wasn't a good night for him. And we do expect him to be on next week. We'll give you more details with that episode later.
Sure.
So if you're craving your 6 legs, gotta wait a week.
Yeah, I'm happy that I think we got some good feedback with Steve and Chris. So I think we did well with our guests, right?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I think people kind of like the energy that we bring, and it's good to do it. I like doing it just us. Like do us twice a week. 2 times in a row, and then do a 6 leg, and then do one other time, then do a 6 leg, and kind of mix it up enough where nothing feels stale. That's what I like. So, and we always have Steve and
right, and there are only so many shows that you and I have been to that are good enough to cover for the show. So when we could do a show that we haven't been to and have somebody in that was there, makes it even better.
Of course, yeah. No, and we're gonna get that in a couple weeks for a couple shows. So, not going to spoil anything now, but there will be more 6 legs for the future.
Yeah.
So here we are, and we're covering Philly from Halloween 2009. This was the last of 4 shows closing the Spectrum. And, I failed to mention, this episode, this is, we might as well make it a tradition or something. We're calling this is what we're calling our Halloween episode. In My Treehouse of Horror.
It's the Halloween special.
How perfect is that?
It's great.
In My Treehouse of Horror.
So every year we're going to have In My Treehouse of Horror episode. And this is the very first one. This is exciting.
And you know what? If we get to about 12 or 13, seasons within In My Treehouse, you can ask us to cancel, and we'll cancel. Unlike The Simpsons, we will cancel our show because we'll know when we're stale.
We know when it's beating the dead horse, or hopefully we'll know.
Exactly.
I'd like it to not get to the point where people are telling us. I'd like to figure it out ourselves, but we'll see what happens.
The good thing is that we're not anywhere close to being there. We're still finding our stride.
Well, not only that, but I think we have a lot of stuff we want to cover too. So there's no shortage of episodes.
Yeah, I said I'm not worried about being bored yet. So we're in a good spot.
Yep. And I'm definitely not bored to talk about this. What people make it seem out to be like a pretty disgusting show in a few ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different.
This is a good one to do for Halloween. I feel like there's kind of a lot at play on this show in a lot of different aspects.
Yeah, I think they to use a phrase they wear a lot of masks in this show. Halloween.
I'm talking about also just the state of the venue, where the venue's going.
Yes.
Just we're gonna talk about all of it.
Well, it's a long one. Hopefully, this episode won't take as long as the show did. It was a 41 song set. By God, OTOTO, never doing that again. And I don't think they've had anywhere close to a 40 song set since. So yeah, just a monster of a show, and especially after they played the 27th and 28th, and then took a break the 29th, and played the 30th and 31st. So that's a lot, and you can tell Ed was losing it a little bit at the end, and he needed to kind of bring out some extra inning strength in him, and he did, but that's just a long time to do a show.
Yeah, it adds to the whole feel of this kind of Halloween vibe, though. It's not a pretty show. It's not a clean show, with the crowd and the venue and the traffic and the tailgating and the bands just going all night and going all weekend, whatever it might be. And it's what makes it kind of famous. And so I'm excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear you talk before we get into this. I'm excited to hear what Patreon is all about. Will you talk about Patreon? Because I have no idea what we're doing.
Live on Four Legs wants to bring you guys the best listening experience. We also want to bring you guys fun stuff to enjoy, like more episodes and merch. So we're looking to raise money through our Patreon page to keep our store up and running. We're going to be adding some amazing merchandise for the listeners. And we're also going to be donating a lot of money to charity. We're not asking for a free handout, and we're not taking any profits. For every donation, there will be prizes and incentives, so let's get to those. $40 donation, you'll receive an exclusive Live on Four Legs t-shirt. Those are the t-shirts that we put up in our store and that we feature every month. You'll also get a Live on Four Legs sticker, a shout out on the show, and the really cool thing, an opportunity to pick an episode. You'll tell us which Pearl Jam show to cover, if it's one you wanted to go to, if it's one you like to listen to, or if it's one that you've been to that holds a special place in your heart. If you donate $20, you'll receive a special gift bundle consisting of merch from the 2018 home away shows. This bundle is big time while supplies last. They are going fast, and once we get close to reaching our goal or open up our store, we will mail those out to you guys. That also comes with a Live on Four Legs sticker and a shout out on the show. If you donate $10, you get a special shout out on the show along with a Live on Four Legs sticker, a Live on Four Legs print set, and a thank you letter from Randy and I. If you donate $5, you receive a Live on Four Legs sticker, a thank you letter from Randy and I, and also a shout out on the show. If you donate $1, you'll get a shout out from Randy and I on the show. So go check out our Patreon page, Live on Four Legs, become a patron, do a one-time donation. Any little bit helps. Again, it all goes back to you guys, whether it be merchandise or charitable organizations.
See, I like that. I like that. I at least heard what you were saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to take a break from talking and just listen.
Yeah,
just
well,
listen.
We want everyone else to listen too because, we got some stuff here and we got we want to get you stuff and things and stuff. So
that sounds exactly my point exactly. You nailed it. Things and stuff.
You could tell I put a lot of thought into that sentence.
So coming up in the next couple weeks, like kind of how I mentioned before, one of our 6 legs, we are having our first Patreon on the show. So we will show you that it does happen. Donate to us, and we're gonna make something happen for you guys. And we want you to be part of the group, and we want to give you the Pearl Jam experience. And
right,
yeah.
And just remember, we're still starting off too. So everything's gonna get mailed out, and everything we say is we're gonna make good on, because we like you guys a lot. So
and if you're listening and you ordered a shirt or a hoodie or something like that, it's in the process of being printed this week, so you shouldn't have too much to worry about. It should be. I was hoping by Halloween. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point, but it should be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, again, we're a pretty small operation here, so getting it all done sometimes takes a little bit, but we're going to get everything done, and you guys are going to be happy. Hopefully, be happy.
They're going to be happy. I know they're going to be happy.
I'm happy.
I'm happy as well.
All right.
If we're both happy, then they're going to be happy. They have to feed off of our energy.
Absolutely.
They can't be happy from somebody else's podcast list and then come to us. I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, but you just got to be shiny, happy people.
Holding hands.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've gone on far enough. Uh, so okay, let's get into this. This is it. This is it for the Spectrum, a historic building in Philadelphia that was on Broad Street for years, from 1967 until the demolishing, and I believe it was 2010 that they finally demolished it. The Flyers and 76ers played there from 67 and its inception till 1996 when the Wells Fargo Center was built, and the Spectrum held witness to two Stanley Cup teams in the '70s from the Flyers, the old Bernie Parent, Bobby Clark, Dave Schultz teams that used to go around fighting everybody, and the Broad Street Bullies they used to call them.
The Broad Street Bullies.
I believe
Yeah.
Rob Zombie was supposed to do a movie about the Broad Street Bullies, and it never got off.
I thought I heard of that too.
Which it would have been really cool.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that. Was it Rob Zombie, or we might?
It was definitely Rob Zombie.
I remember hearing something about that. Yes.
Yeah, Rob Zombie, who was also like around my hometown at a vegan restaurant a couple of weeks ago, which is really random.
Well, you can't mistake that guy.
No, not at all.
I'm not a big hockey fan, but I would, two Stanley Cup championships. I'd be okay with that if they were demolishing the place. Right?
Yeah, I absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think most.
If they tore down Citi Field tomorrow, I would be very, very upset.
See, I'm gonna bring in a quote from Just Breathe for this.
Okay.
Some folks they have one, yeah. Others they have none. I think that's a good quote to relate to sports franchises when
it's
don't have
it's so broad
any rings or anything like that.
That could cover so much. That could go across.
Of course,
every sport. I think it's very fitting.
Yeah, I just thought about that now, which I'm like, that's quite fitting for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for also changing the way I listen to the song from now on.
So now you're going to think of like a depressed Mets fan. I'm going to think
of so as if I wasn't depressed enough as it is.
Now back from the Mets back to the Spectrum in Philadelphia a little bit. As much as I personally am not a Philadelphia sports fan at all, neither is Matt.
No.
I don't know if you were able to tell. We're both New Yorkers, obviously. But yeah, so the World Series was going on during this show. It was Game 3, and I believe they had the series was tied, and the Yankees ended up winning the game. Do you know who was pitching Game 3 for both teams? Both pretty well-known pitchers.
Oh boy!
Can you take a guess?
Oh boy!
Andy Pettitte for the Yankees.
Oh,
which
okay.
I think I was guessing like CC Sabathia or somebody like that. And my guess for the Phillies was a good guess, but I was wrong as well. It was Cole Hamels for the Phillies, which is a pretty obvious guess. Cole Hamels was their ace at the time, but my guess was Pedro Martinez. Pedro Martinez pitched for the Phillies that year.
That's right, he did.
Totally forgot. So they would end up losing Game 3. I think they lost the Phillies. That is, they lost 8-5. But this is that's a death series for us. I thought when that series was going on that bottom of the ninth, tie game in Game 7, they were both just going to be like, well, fuck it. The Mets aren't winning, so we're both champions.
Right.
And then my life was going to be miserable for the next year. I was way too into it at that point. But
it was the worst of either situation, basically.
Yeah. And then the Flyers actually played that day too. They played a day game, so tons going on. I think the next day, the Eagles were hosting the Giants, so that's such a huge weekend in Philadelphia. There's just a lot going on, and Pearl Jam being at the forefront of it, closing down one of the most historic buildings in the country is just something crazy.
Depending on how you look at it, it was either very good planning or very poor planning.
Well, I think it was actually I want to save it because one of my stories for later actually reveals something to kind of what you're getting at there.
You know we're really good at the segue on this show.
Mm,
So we'll call it back later.
yes. But I would like to talk a little bit more about some of the Spectrum stuff because it's not just like, yeah, sports there, the Flyers, the Sixers. I think I failed to mention that the Moses Malone, Dr. J Sixers won the NBA championship in '83 there. That was Moses Malone was famous for before the playoffs going fo, saying that they were going to sweep the whole entire playoffs. They went 4-5-4.
Right.
So that's still really, really freaking good.
It's close, yeah.
Yeah, and the Sixers apparently have a good team now. I don't know. I don't follow basketball, but
Yeah, I don't know either. Couldn't tell you.
but the Spectrum was also known for legendary shows, and I wrote down kind of a Cliff Notes version of some of the legendary shows that they've had there. Cream on their final tour, awesome. Zeppelin in I think it was their like second U.S. tour. Uh, Jimi Hendrix Experience, The Doors, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Pink Floyd. Elvis played there months before his death. Um, Aerosmith, what a crazy story. I should have looked into this a little more. They were apparently attacked on stage with M80s.
Jeez.
Yeah.
people just tossing them up on stage or something?
Like I said, I wish I would have looked into it a little more because what a nutty story. They apparently crashed the stage and started throwing shit at them.
Boy.
Yeah, but this obviously going back to the old Philadelphia trope. This is the crowd that pelted Santa with snowballs. You know, so they'll never live that down. But I get how they can roll their eyes at something like that. 30 or 40 years later, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
Van Halen opened up for the original Black Sabbath lineup. Queen played there. Live Aid. This was the American Live Aid was there, and I mean everybody. It was a who's who was essentially at the Live Aid in America. And while the London one, I think that was where Queen played. That was the legendary Queen performance.
Well,
at
that's
Live Aid.
known to be probably the best live concert performance of all time. 70,000 people. Oh, sugar. I just saw the number of how many people tuned in on TV. It was record-breaking for the time. It was insane.
Yeah. But you look down the list of names of just who was there. Just,
Oh, yeah.
I think the only thing that I remember ever rivaling it in our time, besides like when they aired Woodstock 94 and Woodstock 99 on TV.
99, yeah.
Which were just crazy, was the tribute to Hurricane Sandy, the Hurricane Sandy show, where, I mean, it was a who's who. Everybody played that night. Bruce played that night. The Who played. Stones played. Joey played. Eddie sang with who was it? Was it David Gilmour or was it
It might have been Gilmore. Yeah, I can't remember either.
who? Roger something.
Roger Waters?
Roger Waters. I think it was
Right.
Roger Waters. Yeah, they did comfortably numb together, and that kind of turned into Eddie's stealing it for the band later on. Paul McCartney played with the Foo Fighters. Billy Joel played. It was the raising funds for Sandy show. They called it the 12-12-12. That was
Yep.
that was as close as you would get to Live Aid in this day and age. But who knows? Oh, Kanye played that too, and Kanye got booed off the stage. I remember that.
Either way, the Queen Live Aid is like the definitive concert of like all time.
Yes.
At least in my opinion.
And I think in the movie that just came out, I think they focus a lot on that show, right?
They do recreate that. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's going to be awesome. Two more that I wanted to mention real quick. Springsteen played there the night after John Lennon's death, and it was kind of like a tribute to him. And they played Twist and Shout, and that was a legendary performance. But
Sure.
the whole who holds the record for the most performances at the Spectrum all time?
The most performances at the Spectrum of all time were the Grateful Dead.
Hey, you got it.
I did my homework.
53 times.
I feel like bands now like Fish are making that a number like that look absolutely completely obsolete. With their MSG shows and
13, yeah.
53 or Billy Joel, at MSG,
Yep.
53 performances by one band at a venue now is like peanuts, which is pretty amazing that people could just have residencies like at a place like MSG like that and sell it out every time. 13 shows in a row.
Of course.
Billy Joel with just doing years and years. But back then, the Grateful Dead, 53 performances. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at because back then that was probably quite the achievement. I think it's
and
a
I'm
really
sure
cool
they
stat.
had like 4 nights the same as Pearl Jam did here. I'm sure they had a bunch in a row. But what Billy Joel...
I think it's a lot easier now, I would say. I don't really have a reason why. I just feel like these days, like Fish doing 13 shows in a row in MSG, they're going to sell that out. But I feel like maybe back in the day, Grateful Dead coming around every now and then.
What I was about to say about Billy Joel, was that he keeps racking up the numbers because he doesn't really tour that much anymore. He doesn't do full-fledged tours. He'll be like, okay,
no, it's really just MSG.
He does it sporadically. It's not like a tour. It's like, okay, let's see how much Florida is going to pay me. I'll go down to Florida. I'll play in Tampa.
Sure.
I'm going to go over to Memphis and I'm going to play a show in Memphis. And it's maybe like he might do 4 or 5 shows in total a month, but every month he'll do an MSG show. We went
exactly.
And when I went to go buy the tickets, it was for her birthday. I had like 5 or 6 shows to choose from, so I just chose the cheapest show. So that's kind of how he pumps up his numbers. But in comparison, Billy Joel's at what, like 60 or something now at MSG?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pearl Jam's only had 10 MSG shows, which I thought was a lot. But, I mean, Fish nailed that in a week. It's not a lot, and I always I do go back to Pearl Jam being one of the best performances at MSG, but because MSG is such a monster venue and so many people have played there. I think they mentioned like that 3 other acts. This was at the in the DVD, the Live at the Garden DVD. They said 3 other acts rocked the stage just like they did. It was Bruce, it was Iron Maiden, and AC/DC. I think it was something like that. But like they shook the stage. That's what a stagehand was telling them.
And they would know best.
I mean, they're up there.
I would assume.
Yeah, they're up there in that pantheon, which is really nice. But I don't think anyone's ever going to say that Pearl Jam had a better MSG show than Bruce or Billy Joel or even Elton John, who was doing tons of MSG shows with Billy Joel up until a couple of years ago. It's just they're just not there yet. But I'm going to do one of these segues here. To be that band that a place calls upon you to be the last to ever play in the building, I think that's incredibly, incredibly special to get that treatment. And you look back at all of the 90s bands and the bands that kind of came around that time, and there really isn't anybody else that hits that height of popularity like they do. Do you want to say the Foo Fighters can do that? Sure, but
well, I was just going to say they might be able to, but to do 4 shows, I think you're going to have trouble selling them out as you go. Where with Pearl Jam, it's not going to be a problem. So.
Right. I mean, some of that is obviously due to the money.
Yeah, I'm sure. But going back to that, I mean, how many times has Billy Joel done that? What, twice? Shea Stadium and did he do
I think he did Yankee
Nassau?
Stadium too. Oh, he definitely did Nassau. I thought he did the last show at Yankee Stadium as
So
well.
he might have done 3.
Oh yeah, I mean he owns New York. That's not a question. And what's funny about it is Billy Joel hates playing live now. You can just
It's
you tell in his demeanor. He forgets the lyrics to Piano Man for Christ's sakes.
kind of a grump.
So anyway, throughout the 4 shows over the course of 5 nights, I think kind of the general consensus that I got from people was that night 3 was the best. Night 4 was second just because of how enormous it was and what it meant. But everybody said that Night Three's set list was out of this world. They did Hold On for the first time. They brought back, there were 3 or 4 songs that they brought back for the first time in years. Deep being one of them, which is
Let's not give
crazy.
it all away. Are you talking about night
Oh
3?
no, I'm talking about Night 3.
Okay, I was going to say
Yeah,
don't go too
we
far
can give
in
that
there.
away.
Yeah, you can give night 3 away. That's fine.
That might be in my treehouse of horror too
There
for
you
next
go.
year. Yeah, so I can give it away now. You won't remember.
Definitely not.
Deep, Habit, and Parting Ways, I think, were the 3 that were in hiding for so long. They did Tremor Christ that night. I don't think they did Even Flow or any. I think they laid off a lot of the hits. So that's probably why a lot of people really liked Night 3. And they said that Night 1 was the third best and Night 2 was the least best of the shows, which is funny because I seem to remember that Steve offered me a ticket for Night 2, and I declined it because I was working at the time. So,
Yeah. This is right when I would have been getting. Yeah, I was starting the wedding stuff, so I'm sure that got in my way.
10 years later.
I got to do my own performing. So unfortunately, I gotta miss out sometimes. But
that's life.
that's life.
103 different songs over the course of all 4 shows, which is incredible. It was rare songs mixed in with the common everyday tracks, and it was a whole mix of just about everything that you could want in 4 shows. And if you came out of those shows saying they didn't play this, come on, shut up, get over yourself. And if you're mad that they didn't play something, just buy tickets for the next show and hope that you get it the next show. There's no complaining after going to all these shows.
Yeah,
So,
I'd be a little turned off if someone came out of, especially night 4, and was complaining about songs they didn't hear after getting 41 songs. So, no complaining allowed on this one.
no. Openers for the first 2 nights were Social Distortion and Bad Religion opened for this show and the night before. So you really can't do much better.
No,
Love both bands. So Eddie Eddie sang with Bad Religion on this night. He did Watch It Die with them, which is, I think, a song he actually recorded. I know he recorded something on Recipe for Hate that was backup vocals, and I think it might have been that song. So that's a cool little throwback. But
yeah, throw them in there.
yeah, and classic merch for this show too. The posters from Tom Tomorrow and all of the characters posing in front. They're just like legendary 60s and 70s type characters, from
Right.
like Evel Knievel to Superman to Wonder Woman, to that robot thing from
Was it Lost in Space?
Lost in
I can't
Space.
remember.
Yeah.
Was that what it was? Yeah. And
Yeah, I think so.
what did I say to Steve? Raquel Welch as well.
Oh yeah, that's right, Raquel Welch. That he was complaining about a poster with Superman and Raquel Welch.
Right. He has that Night 4 poster. I've seen it. It's pretty cool in person. And I love the idea and the art. I just thought they were a little boring. I love, like I said, I love the idea of the characters through the ages and the kind of pop culture references, but they're kind of just all standing there. I mean, it's a good idea. I just don't think it was executed that well. I think it could have been done a little better. But like I said, my brother, he's got the one with Superman, the Night 4 poster, and in person it is pretty cool. But it's a little bland for me, but not the worst.
Okay, all right. Well, I would have loved it. I would have bought it if I went to the show. I buy it.
Yeah, 100%. I would have gotten it.
that's one that goes up in your room kind of deal.
Yeah. It's not as dynamic as you know me. I like them to be really kind of exciting and
You're very
bold.
much a perfectionist when it comes to art. Yep.
I like it to really kind of smack me in the face.
Yeah. I'll smack you in the face. I'll give you one of those. You want to smack? I'll give
you know
you a
what?
smack.
Just roll the poster up, and just smack me in the face with it.
I'll smack you with that that Chicago poster that you loved.
Oh, ugh. Oh God.
Smack you with one of those.
Jeez.
And the other merchandise they had, I think they had a Phillies colored jersey that was really popular that you see at shows all the time now.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. That's why I'm hoping that at some point they could do Citi Field and I can just waste all of my money.
They could charge $300 for that, and I would have no problem buying it.
Oh, sold. And done. So let's get into the show a little bit here. They enter to the Rocky theme. All 4 shows they did this. Enter to the Rocky theme, played a little montage, and it's not. People sometimes in Rocky, when they think Rocky theme, they think Eye of the Tiger. That's not the Rocky theme. The Rocky theme is dun 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 dun. Now you should know what the Rocky theme is. It's not Eye of the Tiger. It's called Gonna Fly Now.
It's called Gonna Fly Now, and also I don't think Eye of the Tiger came in until Rocky 2 or 3. One. Yeah, it wasn't around
the third one,
right? And that was by Survivor, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm also pretty sure that Frank Stallone did a few songs for the Rocky soundtracks as well. Sylvester Stallone's brother.
Oh, I don't know the.
Yeah, he's not really.
I can't
remember.
Mickey, yeah. I don't know that, Mick. I don't know. Paulie, that was the other with the robot. Yeah.
Right.
Tangent. Can't go on too much of a tangent. This is a long show. So Gonna Fly Now hits. They play the best sports moments in Philadelphia history, and Eddie comes out with boxing gloves, and I think it's not just to do a little Rocky, but he comes out with boxing gloves to be the reason being that they're not going to tear this place down without a fight. So that's how I saw it.
Clever.
And let's get into the first track.
Here we go! This is it!
Opening with Why Go is not only the most perfect decision that you could have possibly made on this night, but it's the most perfect decision that you could have made on this night, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, you're opening with something fast instead of Release or Long Road or something of the likes. And I think on this night you have to go in there and you have to go out punching. You with the Rocky gloves, you got to go out there firing on all cylinders and show that this is going to be a show that is going to have the energy. And
yeah, it's got its pros and cons though. So you're going to be going for a 41 song set. So it's going to be long, and you're already a little tired from 3 nights
Right.
before. But how do you not come out guns blazing on a night like
That's what I'm
this?
saying.
So
You have three.
you got to
You have
suck it
3
up.
days to do the ease in, to do release and long road and whatever else that you had to do.
You suck it up for this one, and you come out there.
So I mean, it's not only perfect because it prepared the crowd for a long night, but simultaneously it asks the question to the arena after all these memories, why go home? Right?
Oh, in this case, they have to because the bulldozers are on their way. But I guess metaphorically or
It's
whatever.
more metaphorically,
Yes, it makes complete sense, and I love it.
You know, when I was listening to this, I was thinking to myself, he is the rock and roll dad joke king. He is rock and roll dad.
Oh, I don't think there's anyone that can dethrone him on that. No way.
No.
No way.
And that's funny that you say no way because he made a dad joke at PJ20 before playing No Way. He was like, I told Stone we want to play the song, and he said, no way. And that's how he
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's funny. I think he does a lot of them by accident too. He'll just kind of be rambling and ranting, and he has no idea what he's talking about, and he'll just kind of accidentally say a dad joke, and it saves the whole speech that otherwise made no sense.
Right.
So he's got that talent for sure.
It's the poet nature in him, I suppose, but
I think it's just because he's a madman. I think that's why.
that could be it too. More wordplay here, as the second song in is Last Exit. Of course it is.
He's like sticking it to him here,
Right. Hey, last time. Remember, guys, last time, so you better be excited. And okay, it's not the last show that was ever in the Spectrum. It was the last public show that was ever in the Spectrum. The last show was a private showcase for like Philly bigwigs that Sixers and Flyers owner Ed Snyder, who I believe has passed the last couple of years. I think he passed. He put on a big showcase with like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the last person to play the headlining act was an Elvis impersonator of that night. So Elvis has left the building, and everybody else has left the building. Tiny bit of critique here. They were so fired up during this song, they almost overdid it. And while it was an awesome performance, I saw at times that like either Mike or Stone was sort of getting a little lost in the energy and needed to focus up a little bit. They were in so deep.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Or
I agree. Yeah. Again, this is like this is it. This is the last show. This is where everything's kind of coming to a head now, and it's like they're hitting this crescendo of the performances of the shows that they have. So, kind of right out of the gate, they're almost a little too excited. So I agree with you. Yeah,
there's a lot of weight.
Good, but it was
there's a lot of weight on their shoulders because I mean this is such a historic. People are going to be talking about this in Philadelphia and on random podcasts in their 8th episode that do this for a living. They're going to be talking about this 9 years later. So
I don't think they're nervous. I don't think they feel like they have anything to prove or because they know.
No, I think they just want to. They want the crowd in it. That's.
I honestly just think they were so amped up, and it almost kind of got away from them. Kind of like they're over accelerating in a car, or something.
Right. But
and
it doesn't.
Just kind of dial it back just a little bit.
Just to make it clear, it doesn't. Right.
No, and I think they just went out really, really excited, which it happens.
It does,
and that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. It was just it was a small critique that I found somewhere that Mike was off, like he missed a chord or something like that, and I just noticed it, so I figured I'd bring it up because that's sort of the identity of this show is just sometimes getting caught up in the energy a little bit. So, third song in is Corduroy, and of course it is, because, look, while we've discussed on this show before, just we'll pick shows and we'll talk, we'll spend time on the more common songs. I mean, the more uncommon songs, the rarer songs, and the common songs will just kind of pass by because they play them every night and all that. This show, I'm such a proponent of, you have to play the special songs, the songs that you hear every night in their rightful spots. That makes sense. It's one of those shows that needs it. So you'll see here with Corduroy, third song in. This is the quintessential Corduroy spot, and it's essentially become their tradition. And there are other hits that they have spliced in within the rares and uncommon songs that they have too. Everything I felt needed to be in its comfort place, so to speak. Do you agree with that for a show like this?
I agree. I would disagree only because they had 3 other nights before. So if they were to do things completely out of order on this night, that's fine too. I would be fine with either one of those because they had 3 nights before. So they had plenty of time to kind of do whatever they want. So it would even almost make more sense for them to go a little crazier with order. But I do agree that this is a good spot for the song. But I don't agree that it fits in with this opening. I think Wygo and Last Exit are a little bit too aggressive to have Corduroy come third after it. It's not my taste personally, even though I love the song in this third spot. I don't know if I like it after these 2. So, but again, it's sounding good and they're sounding super energized. So it's not bothering me. Any other time I might say it's a little, almost too much that it almost brings Corduroy down a little bit to, the level it's supposed to be at.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It gets a pass from me for this night though, because it's the last show. So
you need Corduroy. Yeah, you need Corduroy to show like that. That's kind of what I'm getting. Maybe less of like things need to be in its certain spots, which there are a lot of things that
right.
are in spots, places that I love hearing it, but there are also songs that, we'll get to Daughter and Jeremy and Better Man, and you need to add them all in.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is that on a night like this, regardless of what comes before it, Corduroy is in its right spot.
Yes.
Any other time, like I said, I think it might have just been a little bit too much, and would have degraded Corduroy a little bit for me because, as we've talked about before, sometimes you're in the venue and you're seeing them play and it hasn't even hit you yet, that like the months and months of waiting
drove you mad.
You still don't even know you're there, but this song for some reason brings it all together.
Okay, and ending the chorus, Ed will say, "Can't buy what I want because it's keep this place." He makes a lot of dad references to the building. We'll get into more of those.
Yeah, I think it was a couple years too late for that, though.
It might have been, but at least he was there for the last one. Not everybody can say that.
There you go.
Severed Hand was number 4 on it. I kind of, along with the everything getting its spot, like this is the best spot for Severed Hand. Kind of like, I don't want to say a come down from Corduroy because the beginning is a little, it eases into it, but like it keeps pace. It keeps pace really well, and it is a good early song. I like hearing it within the first 4 or 5.
Yeah. So Wygo it's quick, it's fast, but it's a rock song. Last Exit, same thing. It's a rock song. Corduroy, you get the sing along. Severed Hand, it's got that build up, and then this, I think, at this number 4 spot here, this is where they take it off.
Yeah.
I think actually this might be one of my favorite moments of the show is Severed Hand in this in this number 4 spot. I think this is
did you listen past this?
Yeah, I did, but I think what I'm saying is Severed Hand in this spot to almost like slingshot the set ahead is
right.
This is the perfect song for this spot. And I think I would say that for Severed Hand in this spot in any set, because it's just that type of song.
It is. I agree with you. I think it's in its rightful spot. I think, if you're doing a show like this, Severed Hand these days, maybe if they tour like 16 shows, it maybe gets played like 3 times. But back then,
Maybe.
it felt fresh enough. I guess Severed Hand is kind of what Unthought Known is now, and what maybe Lightning Bolt or no, Minor Manners is more of an every show type of song, but like kind of what Lightning Bolt is now, where it's kind of like every other show, and then once a new album comes out, it'll kind of figure out its way into the set and spots, but not as much as it was when it was fresh. After Severed Hand, Ed says this is how we do it. In order to tear this building down, we got to jackhammer the fuck out of this place. He doesn't want to say goodbye, and he doesn't want to think about it yet, so let's just keep playing rock and roll music. And the next song is The Fixer.
I love how he says, "Let's keep this place," and then he's like, "Yeah, we got the jackhammers. We're gonna tear it down. Make up your mind,
Well,
dude."
He's probably through bottle number 4 at this point, or something like that. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. I don't have any notes on Fixer. We've covered Fixer. This was Backspacer, a month after Backspacer. Let's move forward. Not much to say with Fixer. They stop after Fixer again, and I'm going to guess that they pulled up the house lights just to see the crowd. And Eddie says that they would have come here no matter what, even if it was the circus that was in town, just to be there for the last night of the building. To be able to get the opportunity means a lot to them, and thanks to fans, and says they have a big job to do and they have to pace themselves. We'll get into pace in just a second, and it might be a long, long time that they're there, which it was. And even if everything is loud as fuck, Ed will need help. Ed's voice will need help. So here's a song that Ed needs help, gets a lot of help with singing anyway, and it's Elderly Woman. And this is, I think my notes here were, don't fuck with what works, continues, which what I said with Corduroy and what I said with Severed Hand. It just, Elderly Woman works in this spot, and it's good to get a sing-along out of the way really early. And I think that the sing-along spots in this song were just spot on. The crowd was great during it.
Right, I agree, and that we've seen this song how many thousands and thousands of times.
Course,
that's a big exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying. You need it on this night.
Yeah.
It's one of the quintessential sing along songs, and it belongs here. Not my favorite, but
if you were to hear it in the set, this is the spot for it in the set. That's my main
right
selling point here, is that number 6.
This is the night for the song as well.
Absolutely,
it's the right spot in the set, right night.
Like
for
I was
the
saying,
song.
you have to bring out your big guns at this. You have to bring out what works and what's popular, along with stuff like the next song, which is "You Are," which is there are some songs interspliced here, and I'm going to call them pacer songs.
Okay.
And the next 2 are pacer songs. I feel like because they're coming off of a heavy sing-along, and they're going into the next song. "You Are" isn't a sing-along. It's not going to kill the crowd either.
Right.
And it's not going to send anybody to the bathroom.
Right.
Unless you don't like Riot Act, which...
I actually agree with people that don't like Riot Act. I fully understand. It's a strange animal. So yeah, I understand completely. But pacer song, I like that. That's let's add that to the podcast terminology, because I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I maybe on a 27 song set, you don't think pacer song. You don't think that they have to pace themselves as much, and you just kind of see them going from song to song to song. But there's pacer songs in this, and "You Are" is really good in this spot. That just kind of blends the set. I think usually that they would play it a little later in the set. I've seen it open up an encore before, actually, and I've seen it
Sure.
like kind of middle to late first set. And, it's not something that you can use everywhere, but it's got a little versatility.
It's kind of like a careful versatility. Like you could move it around, but it might get weird. So
Yeah, just don't test it.
don't poke at it.
Yeah, would you call it a 6-man? It's not that versatile. 6-man has to be versatile. It's coming off the bench, but it's not a 6-man.
Sure. Sure.
Amongst the Waves this is another pacer. It's and Ed tees it up by saying this is what we call a love song for surfers.
How many times have we covered Amongst the Waves on this podcast?
Two or three, since we did a couple Backspacers shows. They played it at the first Fenway show.
What's your thoughts on Amongst the Waves? Because I really like it live.
See, I think I like it better on the album, and I think we briefly mentioned this at like during the Berlin show or something like that. When this album came out, this was the song that I kind of glued myself to, and this was the first one that I'm like, oh, this is a good one. Besides Fixer, Got Some, this is a good one. But
right, this was like single please, like radio please. You could tell it's kind of written that way, but because of that, it was kind of easy to listen to a lot.
Yeah,
I just think, when I saw it live, I'm like, again, the crowd reaction and just being there and how the band sounds. I probably will skip this song when I listen to the album every single time now, but I love it live.
I never skip a song. Well, that's just me, but I never skip a song. My problem with the song live is that this is not a song that gets a lot of crowd participation, especially, Backspacer time when they were playing this at a lot of Backspacer shows. The people that are going might not, I went with my brother to one of those shows. I didn't think he listened to Backspacer. He probably didn't. He probably didn't know Amongst the Waves, and people were just they were digging it, but not into it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people going probably don't like Amongst the Waves that much live. It might be like what I say with some songs where it's, what else do you have? What else can you play? What's going to come after this? I personally like it.
I don't mind seeing it live. I think and I don't want to say the word dud. It's not like a dud, but it's just
not at all.
It's not in my perfect set. I will say that it's not.
No. It definitely not. It
doesn't push the needle for me.
But if I get it live, I'm totally fine with it. And as we're saying here with these Pacers, this is a bit more of a sing along song. You're going to get the crowd back into it now with what comes up next.
Yes, with what's coming next.
It's getting them back in.
Even flow and it's rightly spot. This is number 9. And it's even flow, and so second verse he says I don't know if he messes up the lyrics, but he says instead of few and far between all the legal halls of shame, he says feelings like this are few and far between. I don't know if he messed up the lyrics or if he was just thinking of something else, but I thought that was a little odd that kind of a well-known lyric was swapped out just for nothing. But even flow, and we don't talk about even flow unless we have to debate piss breaks, but in a show like this, and as I said before, the hits really can make a classic show feel classic, and that's I see even flow being that. And to go to one of these shows, and even if I read some of the post, if you're listening from the porch blew up. It had so many different posts about it, and I thank everybody for writing in on that. But somebody said that they had brought their brother, who wasn't a huge Pearl Jam fan, but who had to be there for the last day of the Spectrum. So that's that's the kind of song that if you're the brother, you're like, why? You gotta hear Even Flow, right? It's like
right.
a typical arena rock song. So it's to us, to the expert fan, or I don't want to say expert fan, that sounds douchey. To the, I guess, studied fan. Even that sounds douchey. Everything I say is going to sound bad. To the fan who has been there on multiple occasions, they might, or talk about this on multiple episodes. They might pass by this a little bit, but I think today on this show that we talk about it a little more and just kind of even give you a little snippet of info. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Let's hear McCready shed a little bit. How about that? Shred. Did I say shed?
Let's hear him shred in the shed.
Crowd again. This is another sing along, and Eddie just lets him go, and it's a special moment because you hear there is not a silent voice in that crowd. You hear everybody from the 400 levels to the floor to the guy mopping the bathroom, which we'll talk about later.
Oh yeah. I think there was enough people in there where it was 99.9% of everyone was singing that part in that place at that time.
That's what it sounds like, at least.
Absolutely, it's what it sounds. It sounds like 100%. And like the car park guys too outside, they were singing it too.
And the Yankees and Phillies across the
And the
street,
Yankees
they
and
all
Phillies.
paused during the game. It was actually during the national anthem.
That's true.
While the twilight's even flow.
Exactly. Watch the footage. Watch the footage. It's there.
Nick Swisher and who else was on it? Johnny Damon. They're both.
That was the Damon years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard and by the way, we don't have to say this is not a baseball show today because it's all relevant.
I'm watching the World Series right now, actually.
Oh,
at Fenway.
That's right. It's on. I am not in a room with a TV.
Good memories, Fenway.
Yeah. I wonder who's sitting in our seats.
I don't know.
Did they buy those seats or did they?
I don't know. We were gifted by some very generous Pearl Jam fans
sure were. And I got in touch with them this week and I told them they're getting shirts.
That's awesome. Okay, cool.
Dave and Kristen, I believe. So they were very excited to get their shirts. Yeah, let's move forward here. He as an Ed, says that this is going to fill the category of never play, rarely played before, or never again, certainly not in this building ever again. It goes into this.
Talk us circles and punching out, looking in, drawing circles down, falling up and south, mocking ground, talking how to turn, drawing circles down.
Pilot, and gets a nice little pop from the crowd there once they get into it. It had been a long time since they played it, and
Been a couple years for sure.
yeah, October 2000. It's a 281 show layoff. Numbers brought to you by our very good friends over at livefootsteps.org. Go check out livefootsteps.org.
Yeah, October 25th, 2000, I have it written down as, which is really cool. You know, how they almost teed it up perfectly, you know, to the day.
Right.
So cool. So cool that they have that catalog, that they could go back to these songs that are rare, that they haven't played in a while, and say, whoa, this is almost 9 years to the day. Let's do it.
Right. I wonder if they were like keeping that like by calendar, like by hand one time, and then realized, oh, all these crazy ass fans are creating this media for us. We don't have to keep our own records anymore. We can just pay attention to what they're doing.
Probably. So they, you know, they're about ready to go on, and they're like, oh, it says here on the tracker that Pilot hasn't been played since October 25th, 2000. So let's do that tonight. They just cross-reference their own shit.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I want to get into this sometime. It's really interesting. There are 5 songs from Yield, and that when Yield came out, they completely ignored. Either played them almost never, and some of them, like Pilot and No Way, they still never play.
Right.
But then you look into the numbers and how Lowlight started. Lowlight was never played on the Yield Tour. The first time they ever played Lowlight was 2001.
Right.
And look at what that's turned into.
It's turned into a staple. It's a staple. It's a staple. It's your I think more likely than not going to get that song.
It's part
now.
of your opening 3, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think the first time I heard it was my 3rd show in Hartford, and I kind of thought that I was a little surprised to see it, because it was in a spot that they didn't play a song like that in the last 2 shows that I had seen them. But it just kind of, I guess their love for it kind of grew or something. I don't know. Maybe they were afraid to play it. Who knows? It's an easy song too.
We're good. Well, we're gonna get to it because I think this gets touched on. Yeah, so we'll get to that. I think they realize that the fans just really like it. I mean, I love it. I know you love it, and I think.
Oh, love it! Yeah.
I think everyone else does too, or I hope. I hope they do.
But you know what? Once I heard it live more, once it became more in the rotation live, and I heard it live for like the 3rd or 4th time, I really, like, around the time that I heard this in Buffalo in 2013, I was really excited to hear this in Buffalo. That was one of the highlights of that night for me. So I think it was more of that, and Yield obviously being my favorite album, but I think it was more of the just kind of repetitiveness that they were going to play it live that you were going to expect, and not only that, but you love it, and I guess that's what got him into it. But Pilot, which we're kind of still on now, it was at that time only the 15th time that they had played it, and right now it's just about doubled. It's 32 times. So it's over. It's been played 17 more times since then, in the same amount of time that it took just about to get to that point. So, I think that they should play all of them a lot more. I get that they don't like playing No Way live because it doesn't sound good, but this Pilot sounded awesome. It really does.
I agree. I agree with all that. Things that we've talked about songs that just don't get their due, that should, and we have. Yeah. There's kind of like no answer or rhyme or reason to why they don't, or why some songs do, or what makes the cut, what sticks around. Not complaining about Lowlight making that cut, but yeah, there are other songs that. No, what were you going to say?
I was about to say, it's not like Pilot is like draining on his voice or something.
Yeah, it's I guess maybe we'll never know. Yeah,
hey, unless we get a band member on, who knows? So Ed asks after they finish, they ask how's that, and says if we get a little encouragement, we'll play some real fucked up shit for you. Cool. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, fuck shit up. Unthought Known is next, and at this time, like we were kind of mentioning before, that it became a setlist staple after Backspacer, while Amongst the Waves kind of faded a little bit. Maybe, not like Gonna See My Friend or Johnny Guitar were played much outside of Backspacer to begin with, but they kind of left those alone. Unthought Known and Fixer Got Some, Just Breathe were really the staples of the Backspacer album that kept going back into future shows. And at this point, you can hear from the crowd that they weren't comfortable with the song yet. And although great song, always a great song, it's one that grows on you, I think. And in the beginning, if you hear that opening little riff, everybody starts clapping. Everybody starts clapping to it, and it's a song. It has a lot of crowd participation, and it doesn't have the clapping at the beginning that we're used to now. And,
it's strange to hear, right?
A little weird. Yeah, because now it's such a...
Isn't it funny how a song without that crowd participation could sound lopsided even when the band is playing the damn song?
Right, yeah.
It just needed a little bit to kind of get off its feet, and for people to realize that it's a great live song. I love it live as well.
And it's a natural progression as well. That's, I think,
it's not aggressive. It's not over the top. It's not this, this song doesn't kill you. It doesn't punch you in the face or anything like that.
No, it has beautiful positivity
right,
lyrics.
So I think people needed to, just like what we say with Riot Act, there are songs you need to grow into. I think people just needed to grow into it, and now it's become I think a pretty good sing along. I enjoy singing along to it, and I really enjoy the crowd participation.
It's one of the best. It's such a staple now that it just, again, natural progression, that it just kind of course they like the song and they're going to play it a lot more, and then when you kind of make the impression on people, and then people buy the bootlegs and they're like, wow, that performance of Unthought Known is really good, I hope I hear it live, and then they start participating a little more, and then we get to 9 years later after Backspacer, and this is the outcome. So love it, awesome. Daughter up next, and sort of a double tag in this one. Okay, Live Footsteps, Dave, love you, love what you do, but you said you're counting It's Okay as a tag here, but all he does, it's still that same, it's barely a snippet. All he's doing is going, it's okay, it's okay. And he's not like doing the, it's okay, it's okay. There's none of that. It's, I can't count that as a tag.
Maybe he jumped the gun on it, or maybe they weren't going to do it this time.
No, because they don't even,
and he just did it. I couldn't understand.
No, I think he was just saying it's okay. Because when they play It's Okay, they go into it, they start playing the chords of it. It's not
right.
Brick in the Wall, where it's the same progression.
Right.
This one, it's just him screaming It's okay. I don't count it. If you want to count it, that's okay.
It was nothing, really.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they should even count as a tag. He's saying it's okay, kind of like how he says, hey, like, it's the same. It's not a song. It's there's actual words to It's Okay that when he tags it. So anyway, that could be debated for years, but we have like way more than half of a set list to go. So midway through the tag, he says that the Greeks and Romans kept their Colosseums. Why can't we keep ours? And he also lists off all the names of people that have played there that we mentioned before: Neil, Bruce, Elvis, Dead, Pink Floyd. And Pink Floyd apparently wrote a song about it. And they tag it with Another Brick in the Wall. And the crowd is just belting it. Let's play the Another Brick in the Wall part up until that last part of the verse, because it's just the crowd is so into it, like they were into Even Flow, that it's worth the listen. So here it is.
Cool.
We don't need no education.
He added in that teacher leave this building alone. That I think that might be my favorite of the little puns for the building.
Yeah, it just starts to get to be like, dude, it's like the joke is past now.
Oh, it's past, but like this is the high point for me, I think.
No, we get it.
He can't help himself.
The place is done.
He can't help himself.
He can't. That's what I love about Eddie, is that he can't help himself. And it makes it so good.
It's what it brings into the entertainment aspect of it. So yeah, what a great crowd participation there. And I think, again, if you're going and you aren't a huge Pearl Jam fan, and you know Even Flow, you know Daughter, you know Better Man, and all those songs, and you're probably a rock and roll fan, and you're probably going to know Pink Floyd, and you're going to know and love this song, because that's how it works, folks. You're belting it. So I felt like this was even louder than maybe Even Flow was.
Yeah, well, this is just one of those things. It's like, if you've ever listened to music in your life ever, you've probably heard this song. So
yeah, it's a classic. So want to hear some addressing of the rumor mill? This is fun.
Yeah, let's hit the rumor mill.
Yeah, so Eddie addresses some ungodly fucking rumors that they were going to play until 2 or 3 or 4 a.m., which is almost possible, but the problem would be that they'd have to stop selling beer at 11:30, so fuck that idea, and everybody boos. And then all these rumors of Bruce or Neil would come down, and they said they might play a song of theirs, but they ain't coming here. Says you can't be disappointed because they're working their asses off. They ain't coming. Neil Peart ain't here. That's random. He just throws Neil Peart out there without Geddy Lee or Alex Lifeson.
Everyone loves Neil Peart.
Oh, of course. I mean, when you think drummers, that's the first person that comes to your mind usually. Stuart Copeland is up there for me, but he says don't need Neil Peart because you got Matt fucking Cameron.
Yep.
And then he mentions Billy Joel, Dave Matthews, Bon Jovi. Who the hell starts these rumors? It sounds so crazy.
What's going to be strange? What's going to be so off key, or what's going to be what would you never expect? Here comes we're gonna do a live with Dave Matthews Band now. That would be weird. But on a night like this, it would be weird, but it wouldn't be unbelievable.
Yeah. So they don't have all those guys because they have me, and the crowd chants Eddie, Eddie, and says I'll drink to that. This is a cool moment here, and this is one of the things I love about Eddie the most, is that he will always bring it back to the little guy, to the grunt workers, to the guys that have paid their dues. And he continues, he says, as important as those people are to this place, the Bon Jovis and Neil Pearts and whoever else, here's somebody who's been there from the beginning. He knows everything about this place, 89 years old. His name is Charlie DeFabrio. He's been there before every show, every game, and Ed wants him to know what it feels like to be on stage. So he introduces him and hopes everyone. Charlie introduces himself and he says like he says what union charter he's a member of, and then he says I hope everybody enjoys the show, and it was really everybody chants Charlie, Charlie. It's such a Philadelphia thing. It feels like a real hometown kind of guy.
Definitely.
Like I said, Eddie, more than most people, will put a nod into the little guy, and I think he kind of sees himself while he knows he's a rock star and everything like that, he kind of relates himself more to the little guy, to the guy that's just kind of working a blue collar job like that.
Yeah, well,
Do you see that?
absolutely, because there are a lot of artists out there that they'll go out, they'll play 45 minutes, they'll play an hour, whatever it is. They do their thing, they do this, blah, 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 blah. They have handlers, whatever. I feel like Pearl Jam and Eddie and Mike and guys like that, they do a lot outside, they do a lot in the community. And, the guys in Pearl Jam are kind of like the blue collar workers of the rock world. They
can see that,
they just
yeah.
work their ass off, and they go out there and they play 3-hour shows, and they're not primped and pampered. They're guys. They're regular guys that just happen to write really good music, and they work hard when they're on stage. So yeah, I think he sees himself or themselves in people like this. Like there's nothing different between the two of them. They both have jobs. They're both people. Their jobs are wildly different from each other, but what's really the difference? And that's kind of what makes Pearl Jam is that there's no disconnection at all, and they appreciate where they came from and who is stuck with them.
There's a lesson to be learned in here too, that it's just like respect all walks of life, and
Yes.
maybe that guy is a hardcore Trumper now, and maybe him and Eddie wouldn't necessarily agree on politics, but they can, in this situation, they can get along, and they can laugh with each other, they can share stories with each other,
Yeah.
and they can appreciate each other, and I think that gets lost a lot. Anyway, Johnny Guitar is next. We really talked about this as much as we could during the Berlin show, so no point spending too much time on it.
It sounded fine here.
Yeah, I don't mind hearing it live. It's just, we go back to the Berlin show if you are craving your Johnny Guitar.
If you need some Johnny Guitar insights and opinions, go listen to Berlin.
This has already been way more than I wanted to talk about Johnny Guitar, but anyway.
Moving on.
Yeah. Eddie says that the next song is a request from a lady in the Phillies jersey and asks for an update and a score in the game. I don't know what the score was at this time. Yankees won 8-5. I probably mentioned that before. But all of the Mets fans in the crowd boo heavily, so nobody boos heavily in the crowd because Mets fans are probably not there.
Do you want to just give a quick boo right now, just to get it over with, like we were there? Bruh.
That's how I feel about that.
Yep.
Even 9 years later, I'm still yuck. Rats is their request, and they love doing rats in old buildings or like towns with dirty towns like New York City or Philadelphia can be considered that. So I love when they add that in when rats is kind of added into a town that feels kind of gritty. It's perfect for Philadelphia.
I think it's more perfect for New York than anywhere else, but it works in Philly too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, man, I don't know when the next time we're going to do Rats is, and we've already, we're barely halfway through the set. But we know the meaning behind why they do the Ben, the two of us need look no more. It's because of the movie Willard.
Right.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know that until a couple weeks ago. So, yeah. So they're doing, and Michael Jackson wrote the song for that movie. The movie was called Ben. That was a sequel to Willard. And that's a lot of research on Rats movies that I did for about 5 or 10 minutes. So they remade that back in the 90s, early 2000s.
It was with, what's his name from Back to the Future?
Yeah. Oh, God, I can't remember his name.
The weird looking guy.
McFly's dad, right?
Yeah, George McFly. Yeah,
it's one of those names. I'll think of it.
Yeah,
I'll think of it later. It's not it doesn't sound like a name. It's not like a normal name.
It sounds like a name of like a serial killer.
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover. That's it. Thank you.
Crispin Glover. Like I said, that doesn't sound like an actual name. Yes, it sounds like either a serial killer
Yeah.
or a serial box, actually.
Well, he's a weird dude
Yeah,
too, but
yeah. Anyway, that yeah. Quickly gloss over that. I'm Open is next, and it does not get played a whole hell of a lot. This was only the eighth time they've ever played it out of 13, and they don't even do the whole spiel like they did in No Code. And I don't know if that's something that they've always done like that, or they, from the beginning when No Code came out, did they do it the same way? But yeah, it doesn't get the whole man lies in his bed with no door spiel. It's just I'm open, call me, I'm open, and it's just really used as a transition 13 times in this band's 1,000-year history or 1,000-show history.
yeah, and
I got nothing on
I
it.
got yeah. It's I'm Open never really did much for me at all. Album live, yeah.
It's a Jack Irons era song that's it has that influence of it's just a little out there.
Little bit of a like that as we discussed with Steve, like that kind of transitional. What can we do here?
Right. So it transitions here into I Got Shit. I thought it was a nice transition. I thought it worked.
Yeah.
And another day, I'll go into why I love this song so much. But
We'll get into it though at some point.
Yep. And another song that doesn't get played often anymore, but that we've covered a couple times lately. Glorified G is next. And we really do love the song and talked about how much we loved it. I believe the Amsterdam show was where we played it.
I think you're right.
And this one, this one during the always keep it loaded part, Eddie said, "What the fuck were they thinking?" I don't know what that's for, but yeah. Anyway, we'll keep moving here. Ed asks everyone how are they doing, because they're not even quite at the halfway point yet. That means this episode's not at the halfway point yet. Hooray! Now we'll plow through this. We'll make this work. So then says something about Tom Tomorrow, who we mentioned before, did the poster artwork for this show and the Philly shows, and the Backspacer artwork and artwork for some other posters. Said somebody was going to have to pay a large sum of money for a good cause if they played a certain song, and it was a song they almost never play, and OTOTO that was really written on the spot. And it says, get out your checkbook. We heard this in Boston recently, but after hearing this version compared to what they did in Boston, Boston was nothing compared to this. So for the third time only, until a month ago, here's Out of My Mind. Boston's performance sounded like a mess compared to this.
They kind of bunted it in Boston.
Right.
Which is a shame,
At least,
because it's such a great song, and it's so rare.
yeah, if you're gonna do it, you might as well go all out with it. And I guess at the time, because I just didn't listen, it's a song that I probably listened to a total of 5 times before Boston, at least. Because why listen to it when you're not gonna really, it's not a lost dog. It's not really, besides the Philly show, I didn't really know where else to find it. I didn't have the "Not for You" single anywhere handy.
It's good though, but it gets lost. It could get lost because it's again so rare, and it's just a B-side that's floating around in space somewhere.
Right. But at least this version sounds like a song.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In Boston, he said he was making up the lyrics because he didn't know them last time, which was this time. He seemed to be way more prepared in this instant. It was live on Four Legs. That's us. Livefootsteps.org says that it was back in '94 they played it. Last time it was 512 show layoff, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it was only played 2 times before, obviously, as we said. So that's a lot. And it's worth talking about because that's just, when you think of highlights from this show, a lot of people were just like, out of my mind was out of this world, out of my mind.
So. I absolutely, I mean, only played 2 times before this time. I absolutely would consider it a standout for sure.
And it was a song that was like kind of created live on the spot, I believe. I think that was the whole the thing about it. So, which is weird because why if that was a song that was kind of developed in a live situation, that's weird that they wouldn't continue that as like sort of the live tradition. But that's all right. There are other songs in the catalog.
Yeah, I mean,
it should have been a Lost Dog though.
Maybe they don't like it that much.
Why keep this and Leatherman off Lost Dogs? That's a conversation for another time.
That's a great question.
There are a couple songs that I think they left off, but
I think there's a couple songs that they could have left off and put these in instead. But
yeah, I like Lost Dogs overall now as an album.
Yeah,
I think I used to not.
So do I.
But yeah, there's some junky tracks on there. Anyway, let's keep going here. Black is next, and not originally on the set list. So I don't know if that was a mistake, but how do you not play one of your pinnacle sing-alongs on a night like this? That I feel like, it was a mistake not putting it on, but thankfully they fixed their mistake.
I think you're right. I think there are just certain songs that need to be played in a situation like this. Pearl Jam, they're not going to make set lists to appease a crowd because it's the last night of a stadium or anything like that. But I think they do understand that you got to do songs like this.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't want to do Black when they started. Maybe they thought...
Maybe they just forgot.
They could have just forgotten. Maybe they just thought, hey, it doesn't have a place tonight. It's not fitting what we want to do.
But Eddie's been known to call audibles before.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened here, and I think they realized the magnitude of what they were doing and how the crowd was reacting to it. And he's like, "Fuck it, let's do Black because why wouldn't?"
And mind you, that only one thing was really subtracted from the set. Maybe 2 things. We'll see later, but one of those things didn't even really. It said Bruce song, ? EV.
Bruce Springsteen song.
Right. Who knows what it could have been.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Black is good here. I
think they made the right call for sure.
Yes, for sure. Black into Insignificance, which I wish we would have more time to discuss it, but I think a night like this, we're just getting out of the first set now. It'll pop up later. We'll talk about it at another time later. And
just real quick, not getting into crazy detail about it, but Insignificance at the end of a set like this. Thoughts? Just quick thought.
Probably not my favorite spot. I think I like it maybe 2 or 3 songs above where it is.
Agree. Yep. Not terrible, but yeah, it kind of threw me off a little bit. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't, something powerful has to come after Black, and I didn't think Insignificance was as powerful as somebody. I really think that I don't think even Life Wasted should have ended the first set. It should have went from Black in the rearview mirror, and that should have ended the first set.
Well, think of it this way. You got to think of it as Out of My Mind into Insignificance, not Black. Because Black was added last minute. So think Out of My Mind, Insignificance, Life Wasted, and it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. But still, if I'm building the set, I think I save Insignificance for another spot and Life Wasted for another spot. I think Rearview Mirror was the one song that I said wasn't played this night, should be played this night. I think it belongs in that Corduroy Black, their popular songs. Maybe it's not like, if I'm relating it to baseball Hall of Famers, it's not like a Babe Ruth or a Hank Aaron, but it's like I don't know. I don't even know who's in the Hall of Fame anymore. I'm trying to keep it.
Yeah, right. Well, I agree with you. Maybe they didn't want to overdo it with Rearview Mirror. I understand it's the last night, but they had played it before. But there is a spot where it could have fit, of course, and we'll get to it in Encore too, because Rearview Mirror could fit anywhere. But it should have been in there. I agree. I understand why it wasn't, but it should have been.
It's like a Pedro Martinez. I would say Pedro Martinez is never going to be seen as the greatest pitcher of all time, but he damn sure made the Hall of Fame with flying colors, like a Tom Seaver. You talk about him amongst those best of all time, but he's not ever said to be number 1 or number 2 or number 3. We're out of the first set. Life Wasted, not really much to say about it, but
yeah, I like Life Wasted a little bit better at maybe the end of an Encore 1.
Well, the night before, night 3, they played Rearview Mirror to finish Encore 1. They could have swapped.
Right, you're right.
Okay. Ed talks about a sign on the scoreboard that says play to win, and they might not even be halfway through yet, which that's pretty much a correct statement. So we got some quiet ones coming up for you. If you don't like them, go piss and grab a beer. Unless your woman's beside you, then stay right there. The next few songs are accompanied by, he doesn't introduce their names or anything. He just says a local Philadelphia string quartet. Come on. Going from introducing Charlie to not saying the names of the string quartet that's accompanying. Come on, man.
He's probably so drunk he didn't even remember what they were called.
What, their names? Hey, you, the cellist.
He probably started to introduce the group and was like, shit, I have no idea how to end the sentence because I don't know what the group name is.
Yeah. We'll get into some Crazy Eddie in about 2 seconds here.
Right.
So like I said, original set list said Bruce song, ? With EV at the top. They obviously didn't do that. They got Just Breathe at the end at the top here. Those were the 2 string songs, and I really do tie these songs together because they are on Backspacer. They did start out a lot of encores with these in the Backspacer tour era, so they get tied together pretty much all the time. So that's that they're them, and we've talked about them before. So Low Light was actually after this, and you hear Eddie saying in the background, "Can we play this? Can we play this?" However, there was no set change. Low Light was always supposed to be there. So,
do you know when the last time it had been played?
Before this?
Yeah.
I know that this was the 29th time that they ever did it. That's what I wrote down.
Because this is what, I was talking to Buckley about it. It's one of my favorite written Pearl Jam songs. Jeff has this way of writing songs, switching time signatures and stuff like that. If you haven't played it in a while, there's going to be a very good chance that you absolutely fuck this song up. So
it had been a month. It was September.
Maybe Eddie was just a little
year.
nervous about it. It's not the easiest song. He might have just been a little nervous.
You know what? I actually think he was more nervous for the next song.
You think?
Yeah, because Speed of Sound was a train wreck.
It's a little. It's got some charm to it. We'll see. We'll put it that way.
Anything else that you want to say about Low Light? I mean,
that it's just one of my favorite songs ever.
yeah,
in the
we
entire
really
world.
talked more about it earlier, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, my notes here. This was the 29th time they'd ever played it, and now it's got 74 total times under its belt. It's going to probably be close to the next that comes to 100 plays. I know like Habit and Faithful are up there, but you know this will beat them if it's at the right pace, same pace. So okay, Speed of Sound is next, and False Start. Eddie wants his guitar turned down, and then he actually attribute back to talking about the rumors and says Gene Simmons is in the crowd tonight. Nope, it's just Mike's mom dressed as Gene.
This is so funny.
And then Mike says, no, she would dress as Paul Stanley. And this is where it gets a little weird.
This is where it gets a little uncomfortable.
And he says his mom slept with Paul Stanley. And then Mike says...
Yeah, it gets better.
Mike says, well, his mom had the makeup on. So, at first, Eddie doesn't process what's going on.
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Like, what'd he say? And then he finally puts the pieces together, and he says, if it hasn't happened, it might. We don't tape these shows, do we? So then the post story of that is that Mike McCready, this is a true story, whether or not Eddie and Mike's mom had sex dressed up as Kiss is urban legend, and I say that's a negative 1% chance of ever happening or had happened.
Hey, anything is possible.
Anything is possible, but
even this.
But this part is a true story. Mike McCready, because I heard this at another show, I think. Mike McCready grew up thinking the song was called I Wanna Rock and Rollin' All Night and Part of Every Day.
Hey, don't get me wrong, all right? I like to rock and roll all night. Part of every day.
Party every day. Rock and roll all night and party every day.
I like to rock and roll part of every day.
Party every day.
I usually have errands. I can rock and roll from like 1 to 3.
If you're partying all night, that's why they call it a hangover. It hangs over to the next day.
It hangs over to the next day, so you can only rock part of every day.
Yeah, just 1 to 3 is good, and then you kind of maybe grab dinner until 6 or 7 and go back to partying at 8 o'clock. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I'm into that.
Sure.
He reintroduces the song and says this one is called I Don't Remember, because it's pretty much a song I think they've probably forgotten at this point. It was only the second time that they'd ever played it, Speed of Sound. And you can tell Eddie is frustrated throughout the entire song, and it does not sound good. He says something to his guitar tech during it, and they are not together with it. And so much so that they don't play it again until that Hartford show that I had brought up before. And I remember them saying, this was in the encore, they were about to play it, and they said, last time we played it, it sounded like trash, and we'll play it again, let's see how it goes. And that version was actually really good.
They were all just a little off on this one. Couldn't really reel it in.
Do you think that comes from, now, I feel like with some of those songs, it's kind of, because they don't record live anymore. Do you think it comes from them not rehearsing it as a band as much? And they just, that's why sometimes live songs really just don't come together like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've had that situation. I like to record all my stuff as a live band, so I don't really multi-track anything when I record with people. You have to rehearse this stuff. I mean, this could have been anything from an in-ear mix to a guitar mix to where they just couldn't get on the same page with each other. They could have had this rehearsed down to a T, and it just could have just been really off this night. Like, it could have been an audio thing, a volume thing, whatever. Or they just never rehearsed it. Maybe they thought it was fresh enough to where they could just start playing it, which is a mistake. And if that's the case, it backfired on them. I'm not sure. I'd like to know, what their rehearsal process was on this song, or all of them.
All I'll say is that they've only played it 7 times.
Right.
So do the math.
It might have just put a bad taste in their mouth at the same time,
That's
too.
probably it. I think Eddie's the kind of person that just, if something really bothers him live, he's just going to say, you know what, enough with this. We're going to move on. And maybe he thought that about Low Light in the beginning. Maybe it was just a song that was done so well in the studio that he didn't think that they could recreate it as well live. But they figured it out.
And yeah, then you hear it live, and then you go back and listen to it on the album, and you're like, you got to keep playing this live.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Sometimes they figure it out.
They're not going to just plow ahead with the song if they think there's any possibility that it's going to fall flat, I would think. I think they think their fans deserve a little bit more than that. So why even risk doing a song that could possibly sound like shit? But as you said, in 2010, it did sound better, so maybe they had planned for it ahead of time. I don't know.
I will say that this song has a lot of moving pieces in it. There's a lot of different parts. McCready plays a part, Stone plays a part, Eddie plays a part, and they all sound different. It's a very complicated song.
Right.
So that could have something to do with it. They're almost all playing different rhythms in a way, and then that guitar sound in the beginning. What is that? With the not the dana, but like it feels like Mike is playing kind of like maybe it's coming from Boom. It kind of sounds.
Hold on, you know what?
Accordion?
Yeah,
is it accordionish?
I'm just going to look it up real quick because I want to know. I want to know what I can't think of it off the top of my head right now.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to, in the meantime, move on and we do Jeremy?
Oh, you got Jeremy up next?
I got Jeremy up next. He spoke in class as you remember.
You know what I love when I type in speed of sound and the only thing that pops up is fucking Coldplay? Sorry, everybody.
This is not a Coldplay podcast. That we can say today.
That we could say.
And we can say every
that
show.
I hope we
have
could
to.
say that every single show.
I think it's fair in a show like this that they put out as many hits as they do. As I'm just reading my own words, as I said before. I literally said this 5 times. So, while Jeremy is not one of my favorite live songs ever, and especially in an encore, I don't care for it.
No.
I'm okay with it here because it's their 3rd or 4th most recognizable song. Maybe to some people, I think Jeremy was probably the first Pearl Jam song that I had ever heard, and not a live or even flow.
Yeah, I think that
just because the music video,
that might be the case for a lot of people for sure.
Yeah, the music video was so prominent and kind of put them on the map in a different way. Like Alive and Even Flow put them out there, but Jeremy put them in a spotlight like they weren't,
right,
weren't expecting. So yeah, if you go to an AC/DC show and they're closing down the Spectrum or they're closing down, I don't know, the Sydney Opera House, like they'd be the ones to. I was trying to think of all those great Australian venues, but we haven't done any Australian shows for me to work off of yet, so I don't know any except for the Sydney Opera House. So if they were,
we need to get some Australian shows in though.
We are. I think I have one booked for the next month or two. That was a request that came from Steven Rosenblatt, I believe. He was the one from Memphis with a really good story about the poster.
Right.
So I'm looking into one of his shows. Yeah, but if they didn't play Back in Black, you'd say, what the fuck, right? At the last show of, or like the last...
Well, no.
Come on.
I'm not, dude. Back in Black is Back in Black. That's
Thunderstruck?
A big thing. Oh, fuck Thunderstruck. God, that song is so goddamn annoying.
Okay, all right. So should we pick another band? Should we pick?
No, I think I think AC/DC is a good band. I understand. Okay, I understand what you're saying with hit songs.
Yes. Yeah. If they don't play Back in Black at a big show like this,
Oh, okay.
that's
you're
what I'm
saying,
trying to say. Yes.
You said if they. I thought you said if they played Back in Black, you'd be like, what the fuck? I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
No. They didn't.
You said if they didn't. Oh, absolutely. Because I was going to say, dude, I was like, are you saying Jeremy shouldn't have been played? What are you talking
Oh, no.
about?
The exact opposite. Oh, no. Yeah.
I very much misheard you. So,
Okay.
No, yeah, absolutely, dude. You have to. Because then I was thinking you were talking about them not playing Jeremy, and then you're talking about, well, then what if AC/DC plays Back in Black? And I'm like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
I'm a little bit more structured than that, I would think.
I got you now. Okay, we're on the same page. Yeah, totally, for sure.
All right. You were still looking up the instrument from the sound from some music.
I did a quick listen, but I just listened to it on my phone really quick. I couldn't tell. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that when I listen to it.
It sounded like a different kind of string or something.
It's it could be organ though for sure. I gotta get into that a little more.
I'm musically challenged, so okay. So for every Jeremy or daughter, you do get a song that is loved by the fans and is special to the fans, and that's Inside Job. There's another avocado song for you on the show, Matt.
Yay.
Yeah, turn that into guacamole, why won't you?
I love guacamole.
Yeah. So we go from Inside Job into an OTOTO. And it's the first time ever for this. And before we're gonna play it, but the crowd is freaking out because they hear the accordion, and he starts off, and he has the string quartet that he didn't introduce before that's back with him, and he's getting pissed off at his accordion. The accordion's shitting out at him or something, and then he stops. It's about 30 seconds into the song, and Eddie says it's too nice of an accordion to smash, so they almost don't play it. And he says, "Okay, sorry, we were gonna try to do this for the first time ever," and everybody just dejected. Now you're not gonna hear Bugs for the first time. However, with the little magic of the spectrum, they try for it one more time, and here it is.
Hey, string players, if I stop, just keep playing. I got bugs in my room, bugs in my ears, there are eggs in my hair, bugs in my pockets, bugs in my shoes, bugs in the way I feel about you, bugs on my window, trying to get in, they don't go nowhere, they're just waiting, bugs on my ceiling, crowded.
So there you have it, the first time that they had ever played Bugs live, and with the string quartet in the background, it made it sound like it was something out of the Renaissance era. Like it sounded like evil. It had that I don't know. Did you feel that way or what?
Yeah, and like you said in your notes, how you say all the 3 times they played it, it's different each time. And
yes.
I really enjoy seeing this song take on new personalities each time.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a better song to do that with, to where let's do it folky, let's do it string quartet, let's do it acoustic rock.
Right.
What are they going to do next? Maybe they'll do it like Lucan next or something. You know, what is Bugs going to sound like the next time they do it, if they ever do it again? But it makes you wonder, like, what kind of mask are they going to put on this song again? Because it's obviously a song that they can't just do how it's recorded. There's either something goes wrong or they don't have the equipment or something like
He's
that.
not
So
an accordion player either. He's just kind of fucking around.
And I think it's just going to be one of those fun things. We're going to do it, but this
and it's
is
in
how
a special situation like this, or that Amsterdam show doing it because it was the only album song that Brian hadn't seen, or doing it at Wrigley because it was the first time they ever played Wrigley, and that was a monster set.
Right.
If we didn't get Bugs or Hold On in that set, we wouldn't have gotten all those rare songs. They didn't play a lot of those because of the rain, and they had to scrap like Other Side and Man of the Hour and a lot of other really deep cuts. So we're thankful we still got Bugs for that night. But who knows? Yeah, who knows when they'll play it again. All I'll say is this. Bugs, do not draft him in the second round in my fantasy league, or else I will kick your ass out. I didn't. No, this is a legit story. Somebody tried to draft it with their second round pick and said, I have a really good feeling about it this year. Okay, well, you got like Mind Your Manners is still on the board, and Once and Why Go, they're all still on the board that you're going to get points for. And I finally convinced him out of it, and he, and I torture that kid for that decision to this day. I don't know if he listens to the podcast. He told me he was going to, but yeah. He even said afterwards, he's like, okay, I finally get the premise of how to get points in this league. Yeah. And yeah, Bugs in the second round was pretty stupid. So, moving on. No real notes on the next two here. This is how we close out the first encore. Spin the Black Circle, awesome. You know, I feel like this is a song that you play in this situation. Porch ends it, and that's Porch's spot. So
yes, it is.
It sounded like something fucked up during that opening verse, and Eddie stopped singing. And it kind of worked out because the crowd picked him up and started singing with him.
I meant to go back and listen to that more carefully, and I forgot. I'm trying to remember it now. He just drops out, right? It wasn't
41 songs. Yeah, that's what I think. And you'll see, as we saw with Speed of Sound, and you'll see in a couple songs with Got Some, they had some, man, this is a marathon, and it clocked in, I think, at 3 hours and 35 minutes. It is a beast of a show. And for things to go wrong, you would have to expect things to go wrong. It's not perfect in any way.
No, it's going to be a little sloppy. It could be, or he might just need to stop singing for a couple bars or something, But
that's kind of what the spectrum is. It wasn't a perfect place. Somebody put it perfectly. One of the comments said that it was like going to your grandma's living room in the 70s, kind of.
I'm sure it was dated. I'm sure it was old and dingy, and they weren't going to upgrade it because I'm sure they knew it wasn't going to be sustainable for very long. So
right. All right. So that's the first encore. Second encore, however, we've kind of lost in the fact, although this is the In My Treehouse of Horror episode 1, episode 8 overall. We kind of lost in the fact that it's Halloween.
It is Halloween, yes.
And when this episode comes out, it'll be even closer to Halloween. So
a couple days.
They had to do something, and I think they picked the perfect time and the perfect song and the perfect band to cover.
Maybe besides going backstage and spending a half hour putting on some Kiss makeup, I think this was a pretty good compromise to dress up.
Yeah, this one they can at least take off the hats and take off the jumpsuits.
Yeah.
But let's whip it. Let's do it. One time only. it's so perfect. And
Yeah, yeah.
Devo is one of those just bands that they stand out in a crowd, and they're never going to headline anything anymore, but they're still, everybody knows Devo from just their overall appearance, and they're just quirky little, punk new wave infused sound. It's just, and the red hats and the jumpsuits. So, um, what do you think of Boom channeling his inner Mark Mothersbaugh here? I thought it was
You
awesome.
know, the whole thing was awesome. How do I put it? It's just that little extra flair for a night like this.
Right.
It's they pull out some rare songs. Well, maybe one of the rarest. It's a debut for a song. Which is wild when you think of Pearl Jam. I mean, how many times do you hear a debut of a song?
I mean, it is a cover, but there were a couple.
No. I'm talking about Bugs.
Oh, okay. And there's another coming up in a couple songs. That's another
right.
One of
but
their
then
debuts.
but then they come out and they dress up and they do Whip It, which is technically a debut too.
Yeah.
It's just it's those little extras that make it special. That make this like a special.
That's
night.
the kind of thing they're not going to talk about them fucking up Speed of Sound in the newspaper article, but they're going to talk about them dressing up as Devo. This is a highlight of this night.
Sure.
And I remember afterwards everybody posting pictures of it, and even people when I was talking about it on message boards and things like that, they were posting. Somebody showed me a front row picture that's great of Eddie and Stone dressed up, and Stone, of course, looks like a total geek wearing it, but he can't help it.
Stone probably walks out on stage he's like, "This is what I wear on Fridays." What are you guys doing?
Hey, I actually have a couple extras. I got them in your size, just in case I ever grew into it. So if you have any hats.
Oh, you do? Oh, you have them all. Okay.
Yeah, all of them. A lot of people know this story, but I just want to share it anyway because I think it's just a cool little rounding together of just the band's connection to Neil Young and Devo's connection to Neil Young. So Devo worked with Neil, which is surprising yet not surprising at all, back in, I guess, the 70s. And Neil had a movie. I can't remember what it was. I read about this a while ago. And he had a movie at one point, or Devo had a movie. One of them was making a movie. I think it was Neil. And there was a scene in the movie that's very Devo-ish, of all of them. They're doing Hey Hey My, but it's Devo doing Hey Hey My, and it's very electronic.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, and the album Rust Never Sleeps?
Yes.
That's a Devo. That comes from one of the guys from Devo. Two of them were actually used to work in advertising, and they were tasked with coming up with a name for a spray.
Like a WD-40 or something?
Yeah. And the tagline was Rust Never Sleeps.
Oh, that's really funny and completely random.
Yeah, and they worked together, and that's how it all came together. It's just a cool story because Neil's worked with just about everybody, from this band that we do a podcast on to Jack White to all the above.
He's put his name on a lot of stuff.
And now there's talk of David Crosby coming out and saying there's no CSNY 50-year reunion without Neil. So is there a CSNY 50-year reunion?
Well,
there is. I'm there.
I would agree with him that I think he's probably a pretty important member.
How about a Buffalo Springfield reunion?
Ooh.
See, I saw Buffalo Springfield open up for Tom Petty, but not really. Because I was in the concourse during it, and I regret the hell out of that.
Okay.
Because their drummer, the actual CSNY drummer, died a couple of years ago. Who was a big part of both bands. I can't remember his name, but Yeah. So I really wish I could have stayed for more than um, God, what was the closer? I don't even remember the name of the song. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? What's the name of that song? For what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
Yes. Yes. I knew it wasn't like,
No. Yeah.
it wasn't named after a lyric.
It's,
okay.
yeah, right.
All right. This is just me just stalling for time as the next song has got some.
Yeah, I could tell.
But you know what? They fucked it up. They wrote the song, but they fucked it up.
I mean, I was looking into your notes. I think you're being way, way critical for this performance.
Condition critical.
I'm being mean, and I'm being
You're
mean
being
for the
mean.
purpose of this is our 9th time doing Got Some in 8 shows.
Yeah, but
We've done it enough.
I think your reviews on it are a little misguided by your hatred for the song. Because
No. I actually legit think that his bass sounded really, really bad when they fucked up. Like legit, like ugly sounding. It wasn't, sometimes you're just off key, but this sounded grating.
okay.
It sounded bad. I give credit where credit's due, and I criticize where I need to. And it just so happens that this is one of my least favorite songs that I'm criticizing, so...
But you always criticize this song, and
Yeah,
it's never bad.
But I've mentioned when it worked. I think it was Amsterdam where I said, okay, this actually worked here.
Yeah, I might have to go and listen to that.
Yeah,
I might have to
roll
go
the
get a soundbite
videotape.
of that one.
Don't
keep it
do
moving, though. We'll keep it moving, though.
Yeah, but I write out the word whoop de fucking do.
Yeah,
Let's be done covering it. Yeah, I'm so over Got Some and Fixer right now. Just, I have nothing more to say. It's not that, even with Fixer, I like the song. I just have nothing left in the tank.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about Fixer at all.
Okay. After this, you can hear Jeff kind of fiddling with the bass line of Soldier of Love, and it's in the set list in parentheses, but it doesn't get played.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was actually written on the set, because I know it was written on there with EV, right, with Springsteen, but...
Yes, both of them were written in there
in
parentheses, so they skip over this. Eddie talks about meeting some legendary Flyer players like Bernie Perrant and Dave Schultz, and he said how much it meant for both of them to close it out there. Talks about venues like the Boston Garden and MSG having great sound, but there was always something special about Philly. He said like essentially the same thing in Fenway, where it was like, New York is great, Philly is great. He's pandering here. This is
exactly.
Take it for what it's worth. If it makes you cheer, great. But
with Pearl Jam and with off the top of my head, Green Day, they're one of those bands. Everywhere they go is the best place they've ever been.
Like in Nebraska, you guys kick so much ass,
and they let you know it. Which, listen, it makes the experience better. It's great when he's making you feel like he's kind of right there with you. Even if it's complete bullshit.
Well, that's what I love about, there's none of you listening probably listened to No Use for a Name, but there was a No Use for a Name live album out there, and he's mid-set and they're talking, and Tony Sly says, you guys are a good crowd. I think they're in LA or something like that. And he says, you guys are just as good of a crowd as Albany, New York, and Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That's funny.
Oh, he was just dicking around, but not everybody's going to do that.
No.
Anyway, he says, let's go back and play the oldest song, and it's Crown of Thorns with no Chloe dancer, so I have less of an interest in it. They weren't intertwining Chloe at the time yet, but I like when they do it. And it's not that I don't like Crown of Thorns, it's just how much I love both of them together.
Yeah, I don't dislike them. It doesn't matter if they do one or the other or both. They're just okay for me. Yeah, I'm gonna take it or leave it with those, as you know.
Okay, that's totally fair. It's just an opinion. I happen to like it. Satan's Bed is next, and I wish we had more time to talk about Satan's Bed. It's just one of those that it gets lost in the shuffle more often than not,
yes,
and it shouldn't. But man, cool. Second encore.
Definitely cool.
Nice. Yeah. So
Definitely cool.
When we get to it and we get time on it, we'll talk about it a little more.
Right.
I think we're doing a show. I don't want to give it away, but we're doing a show in a couple weeks that has a really early rendition of Satan's Bed, and that one we'll talk about.
Yeah, that'll be
So I
be a
think
little fun.
That's coming in. That's coming in. I think 2 or 3 weeks. So
Okay.
we'll get to that. This is the other debut live song.
Yeah.
And Jeff is at the microphone. It almost never happens unless he's doing backup for Lowlight.
For Lowlight. And Got Some, he does backup in the verse as well.
Oh, I never noticed because
you're always sitting down during that song.
Just my fingers are in my ears like a petulant child. So Jeff puts on a Wilt Chamberlain jersey and says he's going to sing a song about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I love they've only played this song twice.
Right.
And I love how they've never played it in a place that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played. They didn't never played in Milwaukee, and they never played in L.A. The two, or if you want to go, or New York. Actually, no, they did play in New York.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
MSG.
Yeah, that's where he's from. But all right, you know what? Just hear the damn song. It was the first time they ever played it. Just listen to it.
Chops and apple dew, Milwaukee Bucks and a barbecue. Number 33, just like you. Sweet Lou, how could you? Sweet Lou, making me blue.
Like I said, first time they ever played it here, and then MSG Night 2 in 2010 was the second time and the last time that they've ever played it. So we're only going to talk about this one more time, and I don't foresee us doing that MSG show since we're hint for all of you followers out there. The MSG shows, there's big plans for them in 2019, and we expect all 10 of them to be covered within that span of that year. So we're getting to it, but we want to do it all in order. So ruined a little bit of a surprise, and it's going to come at you sooner rather than almost right out of the gate. I think we're going to start one of the first shows of 2019 is going to be the first MSG show that they ever did. And that's something I think both of us really have gone to half the MSG shows to begin with, so that's we're going to have a lot of information on that
for sure.
We'll cover this probably next July or something.
That seems realistic. Yeah.
So if you're a really big Sweet Lou fan, you probably hear it now, and you're going to hear it then. So what do you think about Sweet Lou?
I don't dislike it. I think. Do you want to tell them what you said in your notes here about when they ended the song?
Yeah, Jeff kind of was expecting a better reaction from the crowd.
So this is what I was going to get to. Do you think maybe they were just caught off guard by it?
Exhausted? Caught off guard?
The crowd. You get a song like Bugs, and it's like, okay, and they false start it, and they do this and that, and then they finally get it right. Sweet Lou, Jeff up at the mic, whatever. It might have just been a little weird for people.
Honestly, unless you're a fan of the deep cuts and the deep songs, a lot of people there, I wonder if they're just not familiar with Lost Dogs.
They might just
know.
Yeah, or it might not be a song that they like. It's a little bit of the departure.
It's corny.
I
Yeah,
think.
it's corny, and it's it is what
Oh, right.
it is.
And you know what? They weren't expecting it. And I think when it's being played, they're like, okay, but they're like, it's
It's
rare.
also something you can't sing along to it.
I just don't think they didn't know what to do with it when they were listening to it.
Yeah, and that's probably why they don't play it live that often, because it's odd. And yeah, it's what I do like though is the bass line really feels like a bass line on a basketball court.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it feels like you can dribble to it.
Right.
Or like kind of like it has that 70s vibe of like a 70s street vibe or something like that. All right, next three songs, let's tie them all together. Eddie rambles about something evolutionary, man gets wings and man blah blah blah. Dr. J taught us how to fly. It's evolution, baby. Okay. Here on out, it's nothing but hits. Evolution into Better Man in a Smile, and maybe Smile's not a hit, but it belongs there. This is Smile is an encore song, so
Right.
they had to do it because the Miss You Already, Miss You Always.
Right. And
They
now
had to do it.
I agree it belongs here. I love the song, but I was going to say this is probably where Rearview Mirror would have been good for a show like this, but I think I'd rather hear Smile only because it's just something a little different.
I think it's fit again. It's fitting. The lyrics are fitting. Kind of how Last Exit and Why Go were in the beginning. This is fitting for the end.
Exactly. It's fitting for the end. I love Rearview Mirror, and I would love to hear it in this end encore 2 spot to kind of really, wrap up the night.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's the one.
But
I think
Smile
should have been played.
Smile's really good here.
Yep, agreed.
So what I was going to say from before when I said I'd bring it up again, this is where I would put Rearview Mirror, but I like Smile here instead. So I'm going to give Rearview Mirror the pass on the show, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's
that's very rare that I say that because I love it.
Let's not skim over Better Man, because
No.
this is a good Better Man.
Yeah.
As we say every show. I was going to mention John. For keeping up on our ass to say, hey, talk about the hits a little more.
Right. And, I think I had accidentally edited a part out of the last one, but I think Chris Buckley, the guest on our previous Brooklyn Night 2 episode, he said he was not the biggest Better Man fan, not a big fan of the song. I am. I always loved Better Man. It was one of the very first Pearl Jam songs I had ever heard. And I don't think, in my opinion, it doesn't really get much better than Better Man Live. It's the ultimate sing-along. It's the ultimate jam song. They go off on the solo at the end.
The Save It for Later tag on this one was really especially very good.
It's especially good.
When he gets into the I need you, I want you, when he does that, that means like it's more in depth than usual.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard for me to have more words than like Better Man, and it sounded good, and the crowd sang along to it. It really is an awesome song. I think what that same show that I was talking about with Satan's Bed, we're really going to cover Better Man on too, because that was a really early version of Better Man.
Yeah.
We're getting into the 90s. That shows are going to be our first 90s show.
We got to get into them. We have to.
I know.
We have to.
This is easing in though. This is our territory, and this is what we're comfortable with. And now,
Sure.
Then we're going to venture, and I think that's a good thing that we venture.
Yes.
All right, we're at the tail end here. We're at 39, 40, and 41. He says we ain't playing a show this long ever again.
And you know what? That's becoming more and more apparent, unfortunately. But
say what you want. Maybe you liked Night 3 better set list wise, but you're never going to sing this again.
Right.
So take it. And this is the bread and butter that we've pretty much had every show that we've done, and out of our 8 shows, we haven't had an indifferent show yet. It's all been a Ledbetter. It's mostly been rockin'. I don't think we've had a Baba besides Boston.
Which is just BS.
Insane. So, But again, not skipping over these because these are really important here. Going back to the point that I made a million times, the hits, and it really made the night special, and a performance like live on a night like this where everybody can chant "Hey, hey" at the end and everything. I think it's worth, like we did with Even Flow, playing a little bit of McCready here because it's an important part.
Yes.
What do you think?
I agree.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's play like the tail end of like the last part of his solo because I think that was the one that's where everybody's saying hey, hey. So let's do that.
Cool.
The significance of playing a song like this on this night, I've said this before, and I'll say this again, that this is a top 5 arena rock song of all time, and I've made my list. I'm not doing 1 through 5, but this is in the top 5. Do you have a list, or do you know?
My list wouldn't differ much from yours.
Okay.
You tell yours, and then there's just one kind of that's sticking out to me that I would change, but it's not even that big of a change.
Okay. I got Alive. I got Welcome to the Jungle. I got You Shook Me All Night Long. I got Born to Run, and Won't Get Fooled Again. And this is why I picked these songs, and I think I know that you're going to say Won't Get Fooled Again would be the one that you'd change, and you'd probably change it to Bob O'Reilly.
No,
if I were to guess.
I agree with Won't Get Fooled Again, 100%.
Okay. The reason why I picked those is because they're the hardest, and they fill the arena, those songs. And it's they're loud. There are some songs that can be hard, but not loud. These songs are just, every time you play them, you turn the volume up to 11 and break the knob because they're such loud songs to play. And live, I've heard 3 of the 5 of these live. I doubt I'll ever get to see Guns N' Roses, and obviously AC/DC's probably not happening ever again. But man, this is why people love music. This is it. That songs like that, they kill it. What's your change?
And this is not because I like it, because I don't. I just think when it comes to it, it might have a little bit more of a reaction, but I would replace Welcome to the Jungle with Sweet Child of Mine. Again, I do not like it. But when it comes to arena songs, encore type songs, it's just one of those, and but they could go together. It could be either or for that.
I don't disagree, but again, I just think that while Sweet Child of Mine is a, did I say mind? I meant mine. It's getting late. I obviously meant mine. I am mine, by the way. Yeah, it's getting late. Welcome to the Jungle is just, it's got that echo in the beginning. It's loud throughout. It's fast. It's Axl running on stage. It's rock and roll in its whole embodiment.
I agree, but it doesn't just have to be about how fast and loud it is. Think about what that arena sounds like when the chorus hits of Sweet Child of Mine. It's going to be deafening.
Oh, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that Welcome to the Jungle is in a pantheon of songs above most other songs.
No, I agree with that, and I think they could both be on the list. But if I had to pick one from the band, it would be that. See, and I think, I don't like Bruce Springsteen, but Born to Run is definitely on there. Won't Get Fooled Again. I've seen it in an arena type situation, and it is.
It just blows you away with him screaming in the beginning. Yeah. And he can still do it.
Like You Shook Me All Night Long is, again, a very good one, and a live. The only reason why I would take a live out is because the mashup of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions exists.
Oh, man.
They wrote that song because they wanted to write a song that the crowd could perform, that the band wasn't performing, the crowd was performing it. And if that doesn't say the number one arena rock song of all time, I don't know what does. But
man, you're changing the conversation here. You're absolutely right. I'm not taking a live out of my top 5, but you're absolutely right. We Will Rock You needs to be there.
yeah, I mean, and I've talked about Live Aid again, and you know where I sit with Queen. If you wanted me to make like a top 5 arena rock song list of all time, I might just do 1 to 5. We Will Rock You. We Are the Champions. I don't know. It's just because it was like literally written for that purpose, and it's Queen, so it's not tacky, it's not campy, it's nothing like that. It's Queen. So
okay, we already played Mike stuff, so Rockin' in the Free World. Ed thanks everybody for a great 4 nights and a big endurance test, and Rockin' in the Free World is next, and this again this is another arena one. Maybe it's in the top 10. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
The problem is that Neil is so even keel that, like, he's not in the same boat as Axl Rose when Axl Rose is screaming, or Born to Run, where Bruce is just like has that heavy passion.
And he's like sliding across the stage on his knees and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, Neil's just hanging out and playing, and he's really easy going, and maybe it's the
like
Canadian
you're allowed to put Rockin' in the Free World by Pearl Jam in your list, but it has to be in you can't put it like higher than the top 15. So it's got to be like 15 because it's like the cover version.
Yeah.
But it could fit in there.
God,
and that's why they keep it around. There's just too many. It's a hard list.
It is. It is, because things are going to come back up. Let's play a little Rockin'.
Yeah.
Okay. They drop the balloons and the confetti, so let's kind of play from that part. You can hear the crowd instantly go.
Next to a garbage can. Now she put her kid away. She's gonna get ahead. She hates her life and what she's done with it. Has one more kid and I'll never go to school. You get to fall in love, you get to be cool. Keep on rocking in the free world. 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 Oh yeah!
Ledbetter. One more for the old building. And this is the last time he gets a chance to. So we get one more last in the spectrum improvisation here. I'll never play here again.
And you won't.
And he won't sing that again. So, besides Boxer of the Bag, that was the only other lyric that you can hear.
Yeah.
And this was great, and I'm sure a lot of people... Ledbetter is one of those, I think, for a lot of people, if you're going and following them on tour, and say you go to 10 shows, and this is the last one this is the last show of the tour, and they play this the last one, and I think they usually will. You're probably pretty emotional during it. It just kind of gives you that just sort of sentimental feeling that, like, hey, this is it, and I can see people in the crowd just really, the ones that were Philly people that spent their lives going to the Spectrum to see the Flyers, to see the Sixers, to see Bruce and Elvis and the Circus and Sesame Street Live and the Wiggles and wrestling. Can't forget wrestling. All those.
This is not a wrestling podcast.
Shut up. It's not a Coldplay. It's more of a wrestling podcast than it is a Coldplay podcast. Damn it.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. And it just feels like a teary goodbye. And you get Mike at the end, and Mike is playing the anthem at the end, and that's it. That's how the Spectrum is going to be remembered for its last day, is this 41-song monster of a show.
Now, a bunch of places actually consider it, I was looking it up online, Star Spangled Banner as actually the official 42nd song.
No, it's a tag.
Yeah, I normally wouldn't. He does do the whole thing solo. I normally wouldn't do that, but I'm going to allow it here as a 42nd song because that would make it a 42-song set list.
That's pretty crazy. I don't know.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I think this one time, I'm going to allow the Star Spangled Banner to be categorized as its own song.
Okay, it's your list. The band didn't release that as a separate track on the bootleg, so.
Oh, they played 41 songs. No, they played 42 songs.
We've gone on far enough. Let's rate the show. What do you give it?
It's important, and and the whole week is important. You know, they played a lot. They had some great opening bands, and it's just one of those shows that is going to be remembered. There are some hiccups here and there. I think for the most part, the set flows really well, and I think it's put together really well. You see some debuts, you see some cool covers.
To do something like Pilot that they never do, to do something like Bugs that they've never done, to do Sweet Lou that they've never done, to do Speed of Sound they've only done one other time.
To have Pilot and Bugs, like, even where they are in the set list, they fit well. So
not only that, but this is the fourth show. They gotta be. This has got to be draining on them, with one day in between a break.
It is a little sloppy in parts. It's not they're not the best they've ever been. So I would give it a 8 because I like all the songs. I think the set is put together wonderfully. And it was probably pretty freaking amazing to see. So aside from those little hiccups, I will give it an 8.
Okay, it's a good score. My official score is going to be the same number as probably one of the last people to play a Flyers game, or last famous people to play a Flyers game in the old Spectrum. I'm giving it an 8.8 for Eric Lindros. For all you Philly fans that remember the Legion of Doom line, everything like that. It's historic. I remember it going on, and this was shortly after the Chicago show that we covered way back when in September, a month ago.
Way back in the start of the show.
Right. And I think this was really, if I hadn't been started in my new job and so afraid that I was going to, miss time or whatever, I would have made an effort to go. And this was a Saturday night, so I could have made more of an effort, but, had it have been now, I would have been there. Then it's a little bit, the fandom grew more and more as time went on. But yeah, this is a historic, legendary show from all aspects, and it deserves higher than an 8.8, but I think 8.8 is really, really solid on how we grade on our scale. So, you want to talk a little bit about the flu?
No, not at all. But we should hear. It
not just the flu. It's H1N1, which is the swine flu.
Oh God, yeah. Well, It pertains to the show, so I guess we should talk about it.
So the first comment that I got from the porch when posting something here said, "Great show, awful flu." And I wrote back, I said, "You had the flu?" And then people were like, "Oh my God, I remember the flu. Everybody, my whole group that I was with had the flu." And then somebody said, "I got it on night 2." And then somebody was like, "My wife got it either night 2 or night 3, and I had to carry her out during middle of the first set
Oh God.
because she was so sick." And apparently this whole epidemic spread. Steve said he didn't get sick.
That's good.
So, yeah, but he knew about it. There were a couple people that didn't get sick, but for the majority of people that responded said that they contracted it. And
Jeez.
now this makes a lot of sense. So a lot of people talking about the Spectrum that I'll read in just a second, and it's an old building, and the bathroom situation was really, they didn't have enough stalls, and it was a mess, and they didn't really clean it that well. It being the last couple times that the Spectrum was being used, people were suggesting that maybe that they didn't clean it. That also during tailgating in the parking lots, there were porta potties, with everybody coming in and out for the Phillies game and for this, and maybe for the Flyers game earlier, that they weren't cleaning out the porta potties either, which is just fucking disgusting.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. So a lot of people are going to remember it for being the end of the Spectrum, and a lot of other people are going to remember it for contracting a nasty, nasty flu virus. So let's get to some stories, and then we can wrap this up. Buddy Garrity from Reddit said this. He went to 3 of the 4 of the final Spectrum shows, including Halloween. It was such an awesome week because the Phillies were in the World Series too, so there was a lot going on in Philly. There was a tremendous amount of hype for the show with rumors flying about, guest appearances like Neil or Bruce.
Or Dave Matthews.
Or Neil Peart. Or Bon Jovi. And another he heard was going to be like the last waltz with all these musicians coming on stage throughout. He says the wacko Philly media got a hold of it. That Philadelphia Inquirer right all over that.
Right. I don't know if you saw that Saturday front page, and it said that there was going to be. It was confirmed that Big Wave was going to be played.
You're an asshole. Yeah, big wave of shit left in the porta potties.
Left in the porta potty. Yeah. The brown wave is coming.
Oh no! I knew you were just waiting for it. You're an ass. Back to Buddy. I can't describe how much I love seeing a rock concert in that building. I'd been there many times for shows, including the 2003 Pearl Jam show, which is killer, and something about the sound in there I just don't hear anywhere else. I think it was the error of the arenas that size. Ed commented on the sound. I think during the first show, they weren't having concerts at the Spectrum anymore at that point. They were all at the Wells Fargo Center. So when it was announced, they were tearing the Spectrum down. Other acts booked to play there one last time, like Neil and Bruce mentioned before. And it had been a while since he had been there. The venue had only had one concourse, so it was mobbed, and you mobbed because it was sold out and maybe a bit oversold and scary at times because you couldn't move in there. That's kind of what I was saying about the bathrooms.
Yeah, that's terrifying to me, actually. Just being completely stuck like that, it freaks me out.
So he said it might have been his section, but the crowd was not the greatest where he was sitting. It was a long show. Major chunks in his section had cleared out by the second encore. Morons that are probably not listening to this podcast, so I can feel free to call them morons, unless they were carrying their wife out because of the flu, then I understand. The Phillies also lost the game, and a lot of people were speculating that night after the fact that they were losing, and people just weren't really happy about it. It let the air out of the building, so that's understandable. I'm
That's
sure
a shame.
People were people checking their phones for scores at the time? Were they?
2009, yeah. iPhone came out in 2007, so it was available to do that.
Yeah, but I think I had just made the transition when I had graduated college. I just made the transition.
Yeah, I think same with me, about 2009, 2010.
But there weren't really apps yet.
I think it was available. You could go online, though.
Yes.
If anyone was there that night checking their Philly score at the Pearl Jam show on a smartphone, let us know.
So this is interesting. I brought this up earlier. So the 10:30 show was originally supposed to be the final show, and then they added this show after the first three went on sale because the demand was so high. And Buddy theorizes that many real fans bought tickets for that show, and it was a Friday, so pulling from New York and New Jersey fans that maybe they weren't willing to shell out for another show. Just a theory. So the 10:30 show was probably the better show, he says. Loved the set, loved the crowd, band energy was A+. Ed comments at the end and thanked everybody for being into it. And he kind of refers that the previous two nights weren't that great. So, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. That was a well thought out thing. And now we get to Annabella Queen from This Is One from the Porch.
Coming in from the porch, huh?
Left porch. Went to the show on the 27th. Ed said that they were going to try to play all their songs at the 4-show run, so I splurged and bought the Halloween eBay tickets for $150 a piece. That's nice job. You nailed that.
Well done.
Yeah. We went in costume and tailgated while a Sixers and it was actually a Flyers game was going on at Wells Fargo. In the parking lot, we were drinking beers. People we just met. My wife was dressed up as Elmo. Gets physically lifted up and hugged by two dudes wearing Bert and Ernie costumes.
That's awesome.
That's funny. I think we still have the photo of her laughing with a soft pretzel in her hand being held up by Bert and Ernie. If you're listening, Annabelle Queen, please post this picture. We'd love to see it.
Because I have the image in my head, and it's really funny, especially with the pretzel.
So he says, walking down Pattison Avenue to pick up the ticks at the Holiday Inn, the security guard at Citizens Bank Park shouts out to anybody in the vicinity, "Get your middle fingers ready. Here they come. Here come the Yankees. Get your middle fingers ready."
Wow.
Respect.
I respect that.
Yep. Total respect. It was so freaking hot inside the building. Packed to the rafters. We ditched our costumes 3 songs in. The Spectrum was where I saw my first rock show as a 15-year-old, so it was cool to see the final show. That said, you were taking your life in your hands going to the bathroom. Okay, this is where I got that.
Yeah, there it goes, yeah.
You had to walk downstairs off the concourse to reach the bathrooms, and the steps seemed to be smeared with Crisco or worse.
I'm going to go with worse. It was probably definitely worse. What you were stepping in.
What swine. As far as concerts go, though, great venue, right on top of the stage. Wells Fargo is nowhere near that intimate. If you're upper deck at Wells Fargo, it feels like miles away from the stage. They've torn down a lot of these cool arenas, but to me, XL Center in Hartford, local shout out, built in 1975, almost had that type of closer, intimate feel. Would love to know how much confetti they shot off that night. It just went on forever. We walked outside the Spectrum to fireworks after Chooch. He was the catcher of the Phillies. I can't remember his real first name, but his nickname was Chooch. Ruiz. What was his first name? I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, I can't remember. He killed the Mets like everybody else on that team. He had a 9th-inning home run for the Phillies, but it wasn't enough. So the concert and the World Series game let out roughly the same time. Sat in our car in the parking lot, unable to move for like 90 minutes. Should have bought more beers. Amazing show, amazing experience. He's right about the XL Center. Because the XL Center is... You've never been there, have you?
In Hartford, no, I have not.
It's like, I wish it had a little more personality, because it would be a great arena if it had more personality, and it falls a little flat in that department.
Yeah. I feel the same way about the venue. I'm forgetting the name in Reading, and also the old Coliseum. They're both similar intimate
Yeah.
feel. The problem was the Coliseum, the sound was so bad
Oh my God, awful.
that even though it was more of that intimate feel, it's almost like wherever you sat, it felt like you were close to the stage. It was smaller, it was close.
Yeah.
The sound was so bad that it killed the whole vibe.
I remember going to wrestling shows. This is not a wrestling podcast. I remember going to wrestling shows at Nassau Coliseum and not being able to hear when somebody was cutting a promo on the mic
Right.
because it was just the sound was just so narrow and diluted that you couldn't tell what anybody was saying. It was trash. I'm actually, funny enough, I'm going to a wrestling event at the new Nassau Coliseum this Sunday. It's an the first ever all-women's pay-per-view.
Oh, that's cool.
Called Evolution, baby.
Ooh,
That's how I tied that in.
spicy.
Yeah. All right, I have one more story. Should we do one more?
Let's do one more.
Let's do one more. This is from D. Lucan on the porch. This is a shorty. Yeah, this is a little shorty. So that's good. Amazing show. I won the Pearl Jam lottery, and it was like 6 rows back, almost dead center. Met up with a friend of mine and his wife who had been Pearl Jam fans forever, and the guy who had my other ticket, and I took turns sharing awesome seats with them during the show. Oh, that's cool. That's a neat little thing. My friend is from Maryland, and I wanted to give him a little Philly flavor, so instead of Geno's or Pat's, which I knew would be packed, obviously, we brought a tomato pie from the Italian deli in Norristown to tailgate with, and he loved it. To this day, whenever we talk, he mentions that show and the tomato pie. That's a very Philly thing.
I think so. It sounds amazing.
My sister-in-law is from Philly. They don't call sauce. That sauce is gravy.
It's gravy. Yeah.
Yeah, that disturbs me. I'm not into that. But
No. Well, being from New York, gravy is not tomato sauce. Gravy in New York is gravy. It's what you put on a turkey.
Exactly.
But gravy is the same thing. Tomato sauce everywhere else, or if you're just a really Italian grandmother cooking in the kitchen in New York.
Oh, it's gravy. It's gravy. More gravy. That's what Nana would say that.
And it's delicious.
Yes. I'm not Italian. Matt, you're not Italian, are you?
I'm a mix. I got everything.
Yeah. You're like Swedish or something.
I'm a mutt. I'm a total mutt.
I'm a Jew mutt. I'm like everything that you can possibly be in the Jewish landscape. Like
Right.
Polish and German and Romanian and Lithuanian and Israeli and
Roslyn, New York. Oh God, that was great.
I have to finish the story because the story's not over. I feel like all right. It's very late. Lots of great Spectrum memories for me from sneaking out of the house and taking the train to the city with friends in junior high to see Ozzy, which is his first ever concert, or to the Angus Bucks falling from the ceiling during an AC/DC show on the Razor's Edge tour when they recorded their Money Talks video. We've been to a recording of a music video. That was fun. Snow Hey-O.
Yeah.
Listen to what I say, to the Pele Lindbergh dedication before a Flyers-Oilers game shortly after he passed away. The place was old and dirty because it felt like Grandma's living room. Hey, I knew that was coming.
Yep.
Just a place that you fondly remember because you knew it felt good at any time you were there, even though it was dated and smelled like mothballs. Boom.
Gross, but cool.
Yeah, accurate, I'd say. That's, yeah. All right. This is a public service announcement. Live on Four Legs is happy to present a weekly podcast dedicated to the Pearl Jam live experience. While we try to get ourselves to as many shows as possible, we have only attended a small fraction compared to the entire live history. That's why we need your help. We want to get to know who you are. If there's a live show that you've attended that you'd like to see us cover in our program, please send us an email at liveon4legs, that's the number 4, liveon4legspodcast@gmail.com. We want to know your entire live experience. Did you once miss a flight? Get lucky in the 10 Club lottery? Catch a white whale? Your stories will help us mold this into the best podcast it could possibly be. You're already getting to know who we are. Now it's time for us to know who you are. Well, sir, that was fun. That was a lot, and
it was a doozy, but it was cool. It was cool to go through it, though.
I hope you have time to edit this all, and
I'm gonna try. I'm certainly gonna try.
Next week we're gonna have Steve, and he apologizes. He wish he could have been here today, but he'll be here next week with us, though. We promise. It'll all take place at the new Sobel abode in Stratford, Connecticut. So excited to head over there. We're literally moving in that day. You guys are going to help us move in. So, do you know what we're doing? Do you know our show?
Is next week Reading?
Next week is Reading.
Oh, okay.
Reading, Pennsylvania. I don't think we've done a show that you've been to and I haven't been to yet. This is the first time we're doing that.
Yeah. I have to listen to it and remember it. It was a while ago. It was memorable for sure. Once I start listening to it, it's all going to come back to me for sure.
This is part of the Vote for Change or Rock the Vote. I can't remember.
It was like a swing state tour or something, like hitting all those.
Did Ohio, Pennsylvania, and man, how come? We'll talk about this more next week. But how come nobody's doing it right now? Somebody should be out there promoting and doing shows and trying to promote people going to vote. Even though they did in Montana.
It makes you wonder, maybe Pearl Jam should have extended it, but I mean, it's probably a little uncomfortable to do a Fenway Park show, at the end of October with how cold it's gotten. So
that's true. But arena shows are fine too.
The arena shows are fine too. Yeah, they are.
But I'm sure in 2 years we're going to see a massive uptick in vote for change, especially if we don't see anything come of the midterm elections, which we're going to talk about a lot next week, and we're going to really try to not pick sides, even though all three of us are on sides and we're all on the same side. We're just going to talk.
We're going to give the general idea of what they were doing with the tour.
Yeah, and I'll say now, and I'll say a million times, I don't care. As long as you're passionate about something and you understand all sides and all facts and all information, I don't care who you vote for, but voting is useful and it serves a purpose, and I hope all of you take that to heart and can do it.
I also just thought Pearl Jam, they wouldn't have been able to do a Fenway Park show right now because I'm watching the Red Sox in the World Series play in Fenway Park.
Don't tell me the score. I haven't checked anything.
All right.
All right. This is it. This is the end. It's near. I'm here. Not much longer. And I miss you always. I miss you all day. Thanks again, especially for sticking with us on this show. We're going to leave you with a little McCready at the end here. We did a little McCready sprinkled in. Don't turn this show off, ever. We're always going to have an Easter egg for it.
We always like to have a little fun.
Of course. So we'll see you next week for Reading, or if you haven't finished our earlier shows, we'll see you in the past.
Yeah.
Right?
We can go back in time. We're time travelers.
I can get up to the gigawatts.
You got to gun it to 88.
88.
1.21 gigawatts, 88 miles an hour.
It's very late. Good night, everybody.
Bye.